Hello and welcome back to DR Sports for yet another edition of the Saturday Football Show. It's 2:30. It is Saturday. You know what that means, of course. My guests with me today are very interesting. Unlike the 3 o'clock kickoffs today, there's only one. It's Brentford versus Burnley. But for my guests, let's get into them. On my left, making his debut, proud Bournemouth fan, it's Ollie. How you doing, fella?
Yeah, good, thanks. Hoping for a good result today.
Of course.
Fingers crossed, yeah. Looking forward to it. We've struggled, but somehow still in the top two. We'll be fine, I think. But yeah, hoping that today is a positive result. Hopefully we can sort of put the shackles away and just go all out.
Nice. Well, we will be keeping a very keen eye on the Championship today and on the lower leagues. We might as well whilst we're here. Only one Premier League game kicking off at 3. On my left, as always, Matty Renton. So I didn't give you a clap, Ollie.
Yeah, we get Ollie a clap.
I'll clap myself. It's fine.
Two rounds of clapping. Great week for you, mate. Newcastle on the up.
On the up, staying up. Only one direction where going, mate. Happy days.
What, Niall Horan?
Stamford Bridge, 3 points tomorrow. You be quiet.
We will talk about that.
Is that what we're doing, yeah?
On my right, he's had a very tough week. We're still trying to raise for him. It's Matisse. How you doing, mate?
Good, all good.
You sure?
Shout out to Expressions for obviously collecting the change yesterday.
Much
Much needed. Yeah.
Let's just count this
long way
out.
to go.
So we've
Long
got,
way to go.
Might as well pour it. It's not much.
Obviously, Don Robbie gave me a bit of change last week's show as well. So we're really starting to collect the pennies and pounds.
45p from us so far. So
Listen,
hopefully
that will do the job. Do you know what I'm saying? The travel to Lille is expensive and we'll have to start funding that from the get-go. So, but all eyes on Newcastle and Matty today, yeah?
Any super chats, much appreciated from Matisse and Chelsea.
they'll be going
today.
straight in here.
Yep.
In fact, do we want to save Chelsea? Well, we will speak about all these things, of course. If you are with us on YouTube, let us know in the comments. It's going to be a great show today. Like I said, Burnley versus Brentford in the Premier League, and as well as that, we'll be looking forward to the Tottenham trip to Manchester United at 5:30 on that stream today. It's going to be an absolute belter, by the way. We've got Fuad, Tap in Tobes, and Neeks as well, culture cams as
Robbie.
well with them, and Robbie is hosting that one. So make sure that you're staying on this channel all day long, or at least this afternoon, whilst we've got the Saturday Football Show, and then straight after Manchester United versus Spurs. Big up to everyone in the comments already. Again, Ilyas showing a lot of love. Big up AGT, the best host in the world. Not my words. These are Ilyas's. I do think my mum changed her account name to that quite recently. He also says, I can buy Chelsea. Well, we've heard that it was 3 billion. It's probably gone down a bit now. So I'm sure if you do a little whip round, we could get a little couple of
DR Sports, maybe a little sponsor. Obviously, we've lost 3.
Not. Yeah,
That's
maybe
up for
not.
grabs.
Up for grabs, literally. Right, let's talk about the game that's just happened. My team, Liverpool, winning again in the Premier League. 6 wins, 7, 8 or 9 in a row now. Unbelievable. Let me come to you, Ollie, because you are the neutral in the situation. No one wants to hear from me after a Liverpool win. But talk to me about that. You were watching it with me. A massive win away for Liverpool, that.
Yeah, I think it was confident, wasn't it, from Liverpool? They didn't really have to get out of sort of second gear, really.
Yeah.
They were all right. They weren't at their best, but it's a marathon, isn't it, the Premier League? And it's completely different to the likes of the Champions League and Cup games. You don't have to excel as much, I don't think, in the Premier League, because, I mean, Brighton, I don't want to say we're on a form. I think we were sort of talking about Graham Potter sort of being a bit, sort of like, he's gone under the radar, which I think helped him get to sort of where he is with Brighton, and then sort of now it's sort of gone the opposite way. I don't know. I think they've been struggling, and Liverpool today just took full advantage.
You saw the first goal. I mean, how? That wasn't a red card. I'll never know. It was a knee/leg to the chin/jaw area of Luis Diaz, who still scored the goal, by the way. But Ollie, do you think if that hits the post and goes out, surely that's a red and a pen?
100%. If that's not a goal for Liverpool, it is a red card. And,
surely.
And, well, it could be.
Has to be a pen.
It could be even more than a red card in terms of it could be serious foul play, and he could have a couple of games free game ban, because he's not even gone for the ball, and even his reaction once he's clipped the player. Sometimes you sort of see a high boot or something, and you sort of accidentally sort of make contact, and you straight away you sort of looking at the player, you're sort of making sure he's all right. No response from him. He sort of like clipped him and sort of walked away. Ball's in the back of the net. He's not bothered. I don't think, for me, he's gone for the ball there. I think he's sort of hoped more than anything that he's going to sort of come out and sort of put put the player off from actually getting any contact on it. As soon as he gets the contact, he's sort of almost admitted defeat. It's weak, I think, from the goalkeeper. Really poor.
The second goal scored by Mohamed Salah, Matisse, a man who's been in the headlines today and yesterday, allegedly not agreeing this new contract with Liverpool. He scores the penalty today, 20th goal in the Premier League this season, then goes off with a knock. What did you think of his reaction to scoring there? Because, listen, as I said, there's a lot of Liverpool fans this morning who are waking up, not maybe the happiest with definitely Mo Salah's agent, maybe not Mo Salah himself, but what do you think about it all?
Yeah, I'm seeing some comments online, they're saying that he should be taking control of the situation, not allowing his agent to, I don't know, spread misinformation or whatever it may be. I think for Salah, I don't know why he'd want to leave personally. I think everything that, yes, he's given Liverpool, but also Liverpool have given him. I think he thrives in that Klopp system. It's built perfectly for him.
Built around him.
It's built around him, exactly. And I think, for me, I always look at certain players. They always feel like the grass is greener somewhere else. I put Eden Hazard's name in that. A player that is obviously compared to him so much online, But when they talk about Eden Hazard and going to Real Madrid, it was the dream, of course, for him, but it didn't work out. And I think sometimes if you got a good thing going, you need to stick with it because he's scoring all these goals. He's in the best league in the world in terms of an entertainment standpoint. And Liverpool are challenging for things. It's not like Liverpool are continuously, falling off or they're not involved in the major honours. They are still in the Champions League, of course, and one of the favourites. They are in the Premier League title race. So I don't really know where he's going. I don't think, Real Madrid are looking at him, etc. So we'll see. I think the contract will get done, but maybe
who's going to afford Mo Salah?
Well, there was a rumour that went around that said apparently the agent has said to Liverpool, "You're offering 3.7k a week. PSG are ready to offer 600k a week."
Easy.
Wow.
Matty, what's your reaction to that? I mean, listen, we don't know these things are 100% true.
Yeah.
But apparently, from what we're hearing, this deal was offered to Salah in December, and there's been no talk since then.
Do you know?
And it'll play on his mind as well. It will. That's not what you want happening behind the scenes. But when that sort of money is being offered, it will. He'll be lying there at night thinking, double me money. That's his grandkids, kids,
Bruno
grandkids.
Ramirez.
That's paid for.
So he must have been thinking.
They'll have their life sorted if he goes there. But like Matisse was saying, it shouldn't be about money. If you're going to double your wage and go to League One, not for me. Stay in the Premier League. Maybe if he made the switch to a Barcelona or Real Madrid, you could understand it. He's won the Premier League. He's done it all. Test yourself. If it was me as a player, I'd want to go around the world and play in different countries. But when you're at one of the biggest clubs in the world and you love there and with the system suited him, the manager's perfect, everything's completely perfect, he's not going to get that everywhere else.
That is a lot of money, though, isn't it? £600,000 a week. Like, you are taking care of generations. And I think for PSG, I didn't know they was interested. That is literally the perfect signing for them in terms of replacing Mbappe. Because I can't think of anybody else to replace Mbappe to give them that direct threat in behind, which is clearly what they've been thriving off all season. We saw in the Champions League, he's literally carrying that front line. Messi and Neymar were a shadow of themselves. Salah would fit there perfectly. It's a lot of money. You forget this is a job, And,
exactly.
But
and if it's money that he wants, I'll drop Amanda a WhatsApp now, and you get 700 grand a week in Newcastle. Do you know what I mean? You get 700 grand a week. You want to come to Newcastle? Got lovely bridges, brown Aylmer. Get yourself here.
I'm not too sure he's going to be interested in the alcohol.
But if that's what he wants, come here, mate. Because we'll pay him more in Paris.
Well, if it's all about money, then everyone might as well go to Newcastle and PSG. So
brilliant.
hopefully it's not.
The situation has changed for Matty so much.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Big up to everyone getting involved in the comments. A lot of people saying it was definitely a red card. Sanchez red. And then also True Blue 21 pointing out that Naby Keita did a dangerous tackle. A little bit different. I don't think... well, I'll ask you, because that tackle was against the Chelsea player. What do you think?
I'm very unforgiving, Alex. It was a red card.
Really? Even though both of their legs were high?
No, it was different. It's not the same thing. Both of them were going in, but of course, if you leave your leg up and it then plants in, that's obviously more dangerous. Yes, they both had the intent to go for the ball, but he didn't bring his guard down, I guess. So it is what it is. But the tackle today was nuts.
Diogo Jota saying, AGT, what can I do to get back in form? Great show. Thank you for the super chat. I mean, replace Luis Diaz. Man of the match performance from him today. So if you can do that. I mean, I'm talking to him like it is Diogo Jota. It's not. Someone with an emoji of him. Well, it's not, because he's in Brighton in the changes. A lot of people referencing the poor refereeing performance today as well. I mean, some shocking decisions in this one, Ollie, really were from Mike Dean. Not the best game for him at all. Again, gave Liverpool a penalty for a handball. Well, if you give that, surely you have to give something like the Sanchez red card as well. What do you make, again, from an outsider, Bournemouth in the Championship at the minute, what do you make of the standard of refereeing in the top division?
I think I go for probably not even the most of neutral fans when you watch the Premier League, but even, and you always have supporters of the big clubs say, oh, they're favouring us or they're favouring you. But if you look at the majority of games and sort of look at it without a bias, and I'm biased still from the season that AFC Bournemouth were relegated, a lot of VAR decisions went against the club there, which again was... The problem with VAR is officiating, and that's just another way of sort of putting it. But again, the problem is here, the officiating in general is not consistent. That is the problem. If we're going to be sort of letting things go, we're going to let sort of the play go on, we're going to play more advantages, whatever it is, you've got to be consistent with it. And again, with red cards, it is a game-changing decision. And I think a lot of referees, including Mike Dean probably today, thought, well, if I change, if I change the way this game is being played, where Brighton is still sort of in this, their goalkeeper goes off against what is a powerhouse of Liverpool, it's game over. And I think as a neutral fan watching the game, you'd sort of sit back and think, well, this game's probably done. But at the end of the day, this is a game that has to be officiated. Football is a team sport that needs an official, and the official needs to be not the centre point of the game. And I always say that the referee is officiating the game, not running it. But you've got to be more certain there. It's a red card all day long. He got that one wrong. There are several little mini sort of poor decisions, I would say, that probably didn't affect the overall context of the game as the red card would have done. Yeah. But you've got to be more stronger. There's just a lack of consistency, and that is what obviously all the millions of fans watching the Premier League would like.
Yeah. I don't like the red cards, depending on the minute kind of nonsense. If it's a red card, it's a red card, whether it's minute 1 or it's minute 90, whether it's in the penalty box or it's on the halfway line. I think sometimes referees get too caught up in, I don't want to spoil the game. The player is the one spoiling the game, not you. If the player puts in a dangerous tackle in minute 1, then they have to go. And speaking of officiating and VAR, we talk about the Carabao Cup, that wasn't even the biggest issue, it's the Lukaku goal, and then we see a couple of weeks later, the same kind of goal is given, because again, the way that they're, drawing the line, they just can't seem to have a clear, set rule for how they're going to decide these goals being disallowed or scored. It's ridiculous, and it is game changing. Like you said, you guys end up going down off some dodgy VAR decisions. That was a cup defining, goal for us in terms of the final against Liverpool. Offside, they're making big decisions. It wasn't offside.
It was offside. It was offside.
It wasn't offside.
You were there. I was there.
I was there. It wasn't offside.
I think the problem is, just on your point there with VAR and the lines. If we had because again today with that red card, I don't think he didn't review it. He was probably told in his ear, "Oh, let the game go on," whatever. But if we're going to have a serious decision to be made, there has to be, some sort of almost a law in the game that says that if it's a serious decision, the referee on field
has to look at it.
Has to look at it and take a certain amount of time.
Not just sort of go, what do you think? Because, being in Stockley Park, and again, I'm not a referee, I've never refereed a football game, but I can assure you that if you're in the middle of the game, you've got a crowd around you, you're making a decision that is very different to those that are sat in Stockley Park. And again, I think that someone sat in Stockley Park with all the views of it, and knowing that there are, I don't know,
how many people
40,000 people, either getting on the back of the referee or saying, oh, you've got to check it, or booing the even fact that there is a VAR check in progress. There's got to be something in certain that says, if we're going to have the VAR check, if we're going to have officials be able to go to the monitor, that they have to. If it's a serious incident, if it's a game-changing decision, if it's a penalty, if it's a goal, they've got to go and have a look. Not sort of maybe we might, maybe we're not.
Yeah, it still doesn't seem that it's the referee's decision, even when they go to the monitor, though, because when they're told to go to the monitor, it always goes one way. You never see the referee go to the monitor and go, actually, no, not giving it. They always say, oh, once he's over there, it's going to be given. Yeah. It's always the same, so it's an easy, you go over, make it look like you've made the decision, but just rectify what we're seeing in the studio. Like, once they go to the monitor, it's always given, isn't it?
Yeah. Jimmy Cox sending in a super chat saying if Diaz misses, it's a red and a pen. 2-0 anyway, 10 men, and it's a win for Liverpool. In terms of Brighton, 6 losses in a row for them now, Matisse.
Yeah.
Graham Potter had a great start to the season. I think they took 12 points out of the opening 18. It's not going as well as he would have liked in the second half of the season.
Yeah, they just got to be careful they don't put themselves in an unnecessary position of even thinking about relegation battle, because they're still not on that magical 40 points, and they shouldn't be anywhere near it. Now, my thing with Brighton has always been, I think up top they're a little bit light. You know, if they had some real clinical finishers with the way that they play the game, especially in possession, they look like a very tidy team. With the style that they play, then I think they'd have a lot more points than they do. You know, their forward line for me does need a cash injection in the summer. But when you look at Potter, I just think to myself, listen, he's trying to play a certain brand of football. He's trying to obviously, you know, bring that club up the league slowly. It's going to take some time. And I think he's doing a good job. These clubs are always going to go through rough patches. They're not going to be consistent throughout the whole season. No mid-table team is. That's why they finish mid-table. So I think he's just got to, you know, just level everybody out again and get to the end of the season, finish in a comfortable, respectable position, which is what their football has deserved up until this point. And then in the summer, they have to get some new strikers, because, you know, the strikers that I'm seeing at Brighton, you know...
Mate, they're playing FIFA 12. We've got Danny Welbeck up front.
Bro, when I'm seeing... Danny Welbeck scored against us, so I'm going to hold the slander. But even still, you know, it's like you just need better strikers than that. You know, Newcastle will go and get better strikers in the summer, even though Chris Wood scored. Congratulations.
Yeah, my guy. Big Wood dog.
Touch wood, he keeps scoring.
Yeah, did you see he did that in Spurs match? He was like, touch wood. Brilliant stuff. But no, you're right about Brighton as well. And honestly, what you saying, Dan Burn from them, and since then, they haven't been great either. So we get the back now, need a new centre back, and definitely need a couple of new forwards.
Big up to Ashbrain34. Matty's accent is so sexy.
Thank you. That's why they call me Big Sexy.
Well, you call yourself Big Sexy, don't you?
The Tinder girls.
Well,
Big
here we go. Here we go. Yeah, other dating apps are available, of course, we should say.
They are.
I know 3 o'clock. Not the place. The 3 o'clock kickoff is 13 minutes away in the Premier League. Brentford versus Burnley. This is in London, is it, this one?
It is at Brentford.
A big trip
Bus
there.
stop.
Yeah, in Hounslow. A big trip there from Burnley down south. Matty, have you got the starting lineups for us?
I do indeed. Can we please let Matisse at least do Burnley?
No,
because last week he was brilliant at the names, weren't you, mate?
I was struggling. I was looking to Matty. I was like, help me.
That guitar who plays for Crystal Palace, mate. David Raya in goal for Brentford. Christopher Ayer, Pontus Jansson, Ethan Pinnock, and Rico Henry is the back four. A midfield 5 of Brian Mbeumo, Janelt, Norgard. Great to see Christian Eriksen starting again. Sergi Canos, and then big Ivan Toney up top as well, looking to build on that hat-trick he got last week. Hat-trick hero, Ivan Toney.
And Eriksen starting again for Brentford, made such an impact last week. Burnley, how do they travel?
Burnley, we've got Nick Pope in goal, as always. Connor Roberts, Collins, Tarkowski and Taylor is the backline for Burnley. So Ben Mee missing again for Burnley is going to be a big miss. Aaron Lennon, Ashley Westwood, Josh Brownhill and Dwight McNeil are the midfield, with Maxwell Cornet up top with Wout Weghorst. So a very good front two there, isn't it, for Burnley? The
big man. Looking forward to seeing the score in that one. Should we do our predictions, lads? By the way, Ollie, if you didn't know, normally we've got about 6 games to talk about, and we predict them at the start of the game and then reveal them at the end. We've only got one.
Well, we're not doing a bit of championship.
Let's do some championship ones as well, because there are some big games in the championship today, for sure. And obviously your team, Bournemouth, playing Derby today, Wayne Rooney's team.
Big game.
How do you think that one's going to go whilst we get our boards out as well?
You can run with through the lineup as well if you want, mate.
Yeah, well, the lineup actually is very interesting. I think a lot of managers usually say that, we're not thinking about the fans. You know, the fans, we try and ignore the noise. Yeah. But actually, everything that AFC Bournemouth fans have been saying all week, we've actually seen come to light today. 3 changes, Stacey back in. I think he was very unlucky to lose his place, to be honest. He's back in. Jefferson Lerma straight back into the side after his 4-match ban. And also Leif Davis comes into the side. Zamora's a very young player. Not a lot of neutral fans would probably know his name. He flew straight into the starting lineup start of the season, but sort of has petered out a little bit. So Leif Davis, former Leeds player, I think he's still on loan. But I think that's pretty much the best lineup we've got. Solanke leads the line once again. Christie still involved. So yeah, I think we've got a very, very strong side. The problem is, will they fight as hard as Derby? That's
it. Derby got a lot to fight for. Bournemouth in a bit of a no man's area. Not really too much going on in terms of pushing for results for them. But Derby line up with Allsop in goal, Byrne, Bielik, Bird, Lawrence, Tom Lawrence, the captain, Morrison, Buchanan, Ebioe, Davis, Cashin and Plange. I mean, genuinely, I noticed Colin Chasm-Richards on the bench. Again, what a play. He's been around for ages. Stearman, I know him. But in that starting 11 for Derby, I maybe recognise one player in Lawrence.
Ravel Morrison, mate.
Sorry, was that Ravel, is it? He scored a great goal the other day, actually, didn't he? So, yeah, those two. But Derby in dire straits at the minute. Wayne Rooney is just about keeping their heads above water, but even he himself said this week that they don't know if they'll have a pitch, boots, kit or balls next season. It's really tough for Derby. I mean, who knows how that's going to end up this season. But let's get into the old predictions. I've made mine. Have you made yours?
So we're just doing the 2 games, or Burnley and Bournemouth?
We'll do Burnley and Bournemouth. Okay.
Would you chuck a random one in? Just do like 3 or 4?
Yeah, go on.
We'll get another random
Solanke's an interesting one out.
Former Liverpool and Chelsea legend.
Yeah, he is. Sorry?
Dominic Solanke.
Yeah, well, it's
Liverpool,
interesting
Chelsea.
because I think he went about 46 games before he scored for Bournemouth. And now you're sort of looking at sort of 20.
46?
I think it was as many
20
as that.
20 mil?
Genuinely, yeah. I mean, a lot of
guys
to
are
be fair,
thieves, you know
a lot of performances were good, but he'd sort of come on with 5 minutes to go, and you would either be like 3-0 down or 2-0 up, and he's not really had a chance, I don't think, before he sort of started getting the number 9 shirt and starting every week. But yeah, it really didn't fit him well. His first goal actually was against, I think it's Luton Town in the FA Cup. He scored, and then the linesman's flag went up, and I genuinely think it was one of the biggest cheers I've ever heard around Dean Court.
Yeah.
And the goal didn't count, but then he scored 5 minutes later, so it was okay.
It's always the way.
I have to ask, because obviously he came from the Chelsea setup. He was actually playing up front in our youth academy with Tammy Abraham on the wing because he was that good. He was scoring goals, truckload of goals. Obviously goes to Liverpool because he feels like he's got a better chance of making it there. Do you feel confident if you come up that he's the guy for the Premier League, or do you feel like you might have to reinvest in that position? Because obviously he scored a lot of goals, but even with Mitrovic, I'm asking serious questions as to whether he's going to be able to deliver in the Premier League as well.
Yeah, to be honest, it really does depend on whether he can be clinical, and that is genuinely the bottom line. Yeah. He is a player that he's your modern day forward. He'll hold the ball up, he'll lay it off, he'll almost be able to play any position, based on if we're winning the game, if we're sort of under the cosh a little bit, if we're really sort of going up against sides and sort of you're thinking, this could be 3 or 4, maybe 5. He can play any sort of game plan, any position. The problem is he doesn't finish every chance he gets, and that's the difference between him and Alexander Mitrovic, because you look at the tables and you look at the goal scoring charts and you think that the chances that Solanke gets, he honestly averages about 5 key chances a game where you think, if that's Alexander Mitrovic, he's got a hat-trick. He could be looking at more. And I remember the game actually against Derby at Pride Park. Solanke had 3 or 4 good chances, and we were 1-0 down in that game, pulled it back to 2-1, and Solanke kept sort of getting these chances, and you thought, you've got to start taking these before they get a chance to sort of get back in the game. As it was, they did. They won the game.
He reminds me of a bit of a Dwight Gale, Dominic Solanke, in the Championship, as you say, you'll get 4 or 5 chances. Dwight Gale would then score 2 or 3 goals. Yeah. In the Premier League, you get 1 or 2 chances max. Yeah. And you're not scoring that 1 or 2 chances, and that's the difference at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think he could be a massive player if, and we hope that, or I hope anyway, that Bournemouth get back to the Premier League. I'm sure you won't as a Chelsea fan. We always beat you, but
Eddie, how great record is Stamford Bridge.
It all depends on the future status of my football club.
Well, that's true. Actually, if Bournemouth could struggle next season if you're not in the league. Honestly, when we get promoted and Chelsea don't survive, we're struggling.
Who loves Eddie Howe the most out of you two then?
Oh, that's
right
a battle.
now. You've got good.
Right now, probably
long-term
you, but.
Do you mean?
Yeah. You've just come on the scene, really.
Honeymoon
period. You guys are still in the honeymoon phase, yeah.
I genuinely think it'd be close. I think it'd be close, but I think, to be honest, we'll probably both get my birthday card. To be honest.
Just about.
Yeah.
Right, we've all made our predictions. We will be showing you those at the end of the game. Speaking of predictions, we are announcing a new show here on DR Sports, myself, Matty and Robbie, in association with Who Knows Wins, the premier prediction app. So stay tuned for that. think we're doing that on Thursday, Matty.
Look
So
forward to it.
make sure you are in it for that, and you've got to be in it to win it, of course, haven't you? 6 minutes till kick-off at 3 o'clock. Let's talk about Chelsea then before we get into the 3 o'clock kickoffs, because it's been some week. Of course, Robbie and X have been out on the streets of North London trying to raise money to save the bridge. To be fair, if they went to West London, they might have got a few more quid.
100%. Yeah.
But it's been a busy week for you, bro. Sum up your feelings, and then we'll really dissect what's actually happened or not happened after.
Yeah, it's been exhausting. I mean, if anything, I've had to catch up on updates from yesterday because I was, trying to film content, and every single, article, especially from the Telegraph and Matt Law, is just bang, 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 update every 15 minutes. It's been chaotic ever since, the statement came out of him trying to hand it over to the, charity foundation. From that point onwards, it's been chaotic. But to be honest, I'm not really that stressed about it because I think the government tied his hands. It was very clear as to what was going to happen. If you are going to go to the courts and try and win the case to go up against the government, by the time you win that case, if you do, the club ceases to exist at that point because you've literally got nothing to come back to and sell. We're talking about a club that, it's got about until the 31st of March until they run out of money to function without the income of match day revenue, because obviously they can't sell tickets, no merchandise as well from the club shop that's been closed, et cetera, et cetera. So, and obviously they're on capped budgets for, travel and, catering, which is, the budgets are very tight. So the government have forced Chelsea's hand. They have no option but for Roman to, relinquish his power and give it over to the government to sell. Yeah. And that's what he's doing. So it looks like as if we're going to get a new ownership. I'm not sure who it's going to be. Just to bring in some
breaking news, Matisse. 13 minutes ago, Nizar Kinsella, the journalist, he's verified on Twitter, says apparently a Saudi media takeover bid has been placed to buy Chelsea. They're a lucrative private company and consortium led by Mohammed Al-Kahirji. I'm not sure if I've said that right, to be honest. They're in no way linked to Newcastle or the owner PIF and have big plans for the club.
Yeah.
So again, there's almost news coming out at Chelsea every minute, but every other minute. Before we get into talking about that a little bit more, let's see how Robbie and X did when they were collecting those coins to save the bridge.
Save the bridge! Save the bridge!
Save the bridge! Save the bridge!
Save the bridge!
Save the bridge!
Save the bridge! Save the bridge! Save the bridge! We
Save
need
it.
to save the bridge! Yo, big man, you got
Save
some
the
peas
bridge.
for Roman Abramovich and them, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Yo,
Thank you,
fam,
mate.
they need peas, fam. They need the pounds, some dollars. We'll take some Ugandan shillings, fam.
Save the bridge!
Yeah, not the best effort there from Robbie and X in North London. Like I said, only 45p raised so far. We need more than that. But yeah, just to confirm that news, they haven't launched the bid yet, but they are hugely interested in taking over Chelsea. Talk to me about how the fans have reacted to this, though, because let's not forget, last week and this week, a lot of fans were criticised by the club, by other fans for singing Roman Abramovich's name.
Yeah.
Do you think that's necessarily the cleverest thing to be doing right now?
There's a time and a place, isn't there? And I think,
Is there?
in terms of this, you shouldn't be singing it, at a certain time, which is obviously when we're paying our respects to the Ukrainian victims, which is what those Chelsea fans did away from home in the previous match, I think, at Luton. So they're poor for that. And once again, it's the minority of the fan base trying to, unfortunately make a bad light of the whole fan base, which is millions of people. And I've discussed this before with incidences for clubs, and these minority of fans, they paint such a bad picture of the overall fan base, who most people with half a brain would not do that. It's just stupidity, and it doesn't help the situation. So from them, it's stupidity and it's idiotic. For Chelsea fans, I think, in terms of the media, the way that they're covering, I think, there's a lot of hypocrisy going around. I'm not going to get into it too much, but they're not, keeping the same energy when it comes to other ownerships as well. And obviously the controversy that they have. Of course, we don't, approve of what Roman's done outside of football, and we're more than in agreement that if he has to be sanctioned and the club is taken away, that's fine. But if you're not going to, cast that same energy for the other owners, and you're not going to cast that same energy for other, important conflicts going on in the world, then I'm afraid all you're doing is just, you're just pandering. And that's a shame. I don't like to see it, but that's the world we live in. And I think when it comes down to Chelsea, we'll just have to move on. I'm not really at this point too bothered with not having the money, because at this point we're just trying to keep the canteen ladies' wages getting paid, and the 3 sponsorships gone, and it's almost just get back to basics, get fans back in the ground, and just get back to normality and actually run like a football club. So there's different models that I'd be interested in. For me, any billionaire that comes into the club, if you was to, really research upon them and go through all of their stuff, they've probably got dirty hands somewhere. So I don't think there's any real realistic chance that we're going to have a clean ownership. I don't think anybody does at this level of football. But listen, I'll take any model that shows some ambition, some intelligence, and some planning and strategy.
Newcastle obviously got a lot of grief and a lot of hate and controversy around the Saudi Arabian group coming in to buy us. Now, with that consortium linked to Chelsea as well, and the way football seems to be going.
Well, isn't that consortium? It isn't the same.
No, I'm saying from that part of the world.
Yeah, same part of the world, Saudi, but isn't the same people.
No, it's not. That's not what I said. I'm saying from that part of the world. So we're seeing more states involved in football, like Qatar with PSG and Saudi Arabia with Newcastle. Maybe now Saudi Arabia with Chelsea. How do you feel about it? Because obviously I got question after question about when we got taken over by a Saudi-backed consortium.
All I say is I just focus on the football, because for me it's like,
you can't though.
I know you can't, but it's like, I keep saying it, no matter who takes over, there is literally going to be some sort of issue, whether it's their investment in political issues in America, and other countries, whether it's Britain, whether it's whatever. That billionaire that comes into the club has done something immorally wrong, and at some point I can almost guarantee it. I said it on the last show, 99% in my opinion, or 90% plus, you're going to have dirty hands. So for me, it's just we don't want to see these people in charge, of course, because if we could have football run the way where we have responsible owners who maybe everybody's just on a level playing field, it's not so so high up in terms of the money, but unfortunately these are the only people that can afford these football clubs, so everybody's playing on the same on the same level in terms of just looking for ownership that's going to invest money into the club, that's going to improve the stadium, expand the stadium, bring players to the club, and try and win trophies, and everything outside of that is at this point is almost everybody is culpable for something.
Ty Jr. saying West London Blue incoming. There's been a lot of jokes like that knocking around this weekend. There has been an early goal as the 3 o'clock kickoffs have happened now. 2 minutes ago we're into it. Liverpool's next opponents in the FA Cup have scored it. Keenan Davis after 1 minute, Nottingham Forest 1, Reading 0. Also Bournemouth have kicked off now at home to Derby as well. So of course Ollie will be letting you know what happens there as well. Someone asking here, what on earth does AGT even mean, says Thomas Collingwood. No idea. No, I think it's America's Got Talent, something like that. Big goal that for Nottingham Forest, but yeah, Chelsea is the chat that's really dominating the front, the back, the middle pages, especially in sport right now. Again, I'll come to you, Ollie, as a neutral. When you're seeing stuff like this happening in the Premier League, how does it make you feel?
I think well, first of all, going on to that Chelsea point, it makes you feel extremely disheartened to see, and again, a very, very small minority of fans go against what is supposed to be a coming together and a solidarity of what is at the moment a war that should not be obviously happening. And I don't think war and violence is the way to go against any sort of conflict. I don't think anyone wins a war, and so I don't think anybody's going to win an argument of like you say, saying things like Chelsea fans, they're all going against what's going on in Ukraine. Of course they're not. The majority of Chelsea fans there are singing Roman Abramovich because they've seen him lift the trophies alongside some of the greatest football players that their club has ever seen, and that is, and this era has come to an end in a very sour way, and I'm sure a lot of Chelsea fans are sort of in mixed feelings because they're thinking, we love Roman for what he's brought to the club, the the way he's brought the club together and made us compete with the best and the biggest footballing entities in the world. But of course, like you say, the world we live in and the way that football is, the owners, the backing, even some of the sponsors at times, they're going to have ties and some sort of alliances with entities and setups that are against human rights, that are against the ways that we should be living in this in the world we live in now. And so it sort of makes you feel sort of disheartened that this is still happening, that there are still people being killed as we speak right now. And so I think what we need to realise as a collective, that people say, "I'll keep politics out of football," and there will be conversations of, well, we didn't stand with Palestine, we didn't stand with the other wars that are going on, the other conflicts that are going on, but now we are with Ukraine. But we've got to realise that football is politics. Any large gathering, any band, any artist you see, there will be politics alongside it, and that is just the world we live in. So we've got to realise now that we've got to stand with Ukraine or with anybody that is being that is sort of having an unfair demolition of their human rights.
Obviously, the future of Chelsea massively uncertain now. The manager, Thomas Tuchel, Matty, is having to deal with all this stuff that he never thought he'd have to deal with. He's going to have to face the media when really should it even be him that's facing the media. There were shouts from Jamie Carragher the other day to say if he does leave Chelsea, he has to go to United, and there again have been talks of them being interested in Tuchel. Surely that would be one of the weirdest, most controversial managerial merry-go-rounds of Premier League history. Surely he can't go to United, can he?
It would be, but I could see it happening. Because if he wants to leave Chelsea, if he wants out of all the uncertainty and everything up in the air, if he must be sick, like you say, of being the face of it to answer the questions. And obviously somebody has to. He's the unfortunate one that has to do so. But if Man United come calling in the summer and they offer him the long-term plan, we want you to be in charge of this project, which Man United need to get the right manager in this summer. We all know that. It's huge that they make that right appointment going forward, stay with the same manager, stop chopping and changing, give someone like Tuchel the trust to build the club up again. Would make sense to me. It would be a great appointment, and Matisse won't be happy about it. But if he's looking for a way out with Chelsea, it'll all depend on what these new owners come in and say their prerogative is, really, won't it?
Yeah, well, from a Chelsea perspective, when you hear shouts like that coming out of the woodwork, that United should now swoop in and get Tuchel underneath all this drama that's going on at Stamford Bridge, what are you thinking when you see that?
It's all started with Jamie Carragher, isn't it?
He loves it.
He knows what he's doing. He loves it. Do you know what I mean? He needed to create a topic of discussion. He's done a very good job at doing so. But for me, this has absolutely 0% chance of happening. Not just because I don't want it to happen, but because I think we're forgetting Chelsea Football Club is still Chelsea Football Club. We are going to get taken over. We do have a lot of young players that, finished in the top 4 under Frank Lampard before we even purchased all the internationals. We have a lot of sellable assets, and, as we saw in midweek, Kai, Mason, Reece James, these players are not just going to disappear. It's still a good squad. Is it a squad capable of winning the Premier League if we go through this transition next season? For me, no. We'll probably be fighting for the top 4 again, that 3rd, 4th kind of position. And it is stability in a sense that we'll have to find with Thomas Tuchel to try and just win those cups and try and build again under a more, reserved, restrictive ownership, I'm sure, because it doesn't get any more of a toy than it does with Roman. However, to think that Tuchel is going to go to Manchester United, which is an absolute mess of a football club right now, and they've got contracts running out this season, they've got potentially no striker below the age of 35, and I could go on and on. Manchester United is not the place for a manager of his ilk to even walk into. It's much better than that.
Yeah, there's an argument to say that obviously Chelsea are in big financial, economic, political trouble right now. But are Manchester United any better to walk into in terms of a job where, as Matisse said, a lot of players coming to the end of their deals, politics upstairs, no one really wants to take that job on because it's a bit of a poison chalice. Would he even be, he'd probably be better off, I don't know, what should he do, Tuchel?
You probably are better off either sticking it out at Chelsea or doing a bit of a garden leave, taking it easy for a bit, see what else comes up. Yeah. Maybe something else abroad will come up, because like you say, nobody really wants to go into Man United at the minute. It's a poison chalice. It's an impossible job. There's so much that needs to be done on and off the pitch. And with Chelsea, again, it goes back to who the new owners will be, how much they will have to spend. of whether or not that'll be a good step to go to in the future.
Let's talk about your club now. Eddie Howe, manager of the month in the
Aye,
Premier
guy.
League. Joel
Yeah.
Matip, player of the month, I should add.
Ryan Fraser robbed. Put that in there.
Well, we'll see
Or you'll
about
agree.
that.
I won't have a say.
Talk to me about the change in fortunes, because when we started off this show, bro, we were looking at Newcastle. Have they got enough to stay up? These are the kind of questions I was asking you. You fast forward about 5 weeks, all of a sudden, is it 9 wins out of 10 now?
Yeah.
I mean, how has he changed it around?
Absolutely everything in it. You're right, when we first started the show, Jason gave me an instant iPad with the championship fixtures on the championship table. I remember Jason, right? Coming for you. Yeah, trying to say, you keep an eye on those because that'll be you next season. How'd that one work out for you? Not very well, did it? 10 points clear now. I mean, Eddie Howe took over. We were 5 points adrift. 19th in the Premier League.
Wow.
And like you say, we're on the verge of a 10-game unbeaten run. It's been a phenomenal turnaround. He's turned the fortunes of the players around. We mentioned Ryan Fraser was up for Manager of the Month alongside the likes of
Player of
Matip.
the Month.
Player of the Month,
That was Manager of the Month.
Fraser was alongside Player of the Month. You know, his turn in fortunes, he was absolutely hopeless, uninterested under Steve Bruce. He's like a new man, like half the team. Look at John Joe Shelby, not just his best time at Newcastle, arguably his best time in his career. Getting up there with the stats of his Swansea days before he went to Liverpool. You've got Joe Willock on fire again. You've got Joe Linton. Obviously, everybody's talking about Joe Linton coming from a strike and flop to a midfield enforcer. Do you know what I mean? He's been unbelievable.
Madness.
So he's turned the fortunes around of the players. He's united the fans off the pitch as well. He's played on the front foot. He speaks so well. He goes into games trying to win games, unlike Steve Bruce when it was like bigging up the opposition, trying not to lose games. Everything he's changed at Newcastle United has been absolutely unbelievable, and the job he's done is amazing. He's changed it around through hard graft on the training ground and getting stuck in there and making some astute signings in January.
And finally, Chris Wood gets his goal, a really important one as well, a Chris Wood-esque finish. And Bruno
Right back.
Guimaraes, what a goal that was. If you
Saucy.
haven't seen that goal, please go and watch it. It's a back heel with some power about 8 yards out, goes into the roof of the net. I mean, you were at the game. What was the atmosphere like when both of those guys scored their first goals for the Toons?
I ended up about 6 rows down the front when Bruno's goal went in, man. It was absolutely unreal because we were the whole game just chanting Bruno. You know, he finally got his first start. He hasn't been able to get in the side because of the form that we've been on. What a way to announce yourself on the Premier League stage. That your first start, scoring that goal, the flickery, the tricks throughout the game, the key passes, the interceptions. He was magnificent. He's different gravy, is Bruno Guimaraes, and for him to get his goal as well and in that style was something else. He's top class.
He reminds me of like when Manchester City bought Robinho, and it was the first statement signing from Real Madrid. He's lobbing goalkeepers. He's the beginning of the new era. Although he didn't even know he was going to be at City. He thought he was going to United, but Bruno Guimaraes, for me, feels like the first piece. He's the first guy that you know in the summer he'll still be at the club.
40 million. He's only going to get better. He's only played a few minutes really, and he's Premier League ready. Do you know what I mean? He's Premier League ready.
Who dropped out the side, by the way? Because we were speaking for weeks about who's going to have to lose form for him to get into the team. Who was it that actually dropped out the side in the end?
Joe Linton due to injury.
Oh, okay.
So it was only an injury.
So an injury,
but hopefully we'll see him tomorrow against Chelsea, but there will be changes made because we've got like 4 games in a week.
So you're going to rest against us?
Yeah,
Please.
apparently. 'Cause we've got Everton on Thursday, which is obviously
More realistic.
a game we can look forward
Lovely.
to.
You
Try
going
and
to
get
that?
points
Pleasure
off.
doing business with you.
Fair play. Very interesting indeed. ASG in the comments with a super chat from Matisse. Thoughts on Chelsea fans turning on Lampard after his response to Roman compared to Terry? I mean, Terry, I'm not being funny here. The most tone-deaf man, maybe even
yes.
more than Molly May
Yeah.
in this situation, and Kim Kardashian whilst I'm at it as well. I mean, it almost strikes me as an idiot sometimes, John Terry.
Yeah,
Is that fair to say?
he is very tone deaf in terms of what he does on social media.
I could say worse.
You
but
know, the NFT stuff, and you know, it's all very tone deaf for me. Specifically on Lampard, I think. Look, I don't really care what his thoughts are. You know, it's nothing to do with us. We've got bigger problems to face. Of course, he's going to protect Everton, who are trying to stay out of the controversy, and they could easily get themselves wrapped up into it because they have their own Usmanov, who is part of their ownership in terms of, I think he's got a stakehold, not a majority, but he's definitely got a share. So I think he's had things seized, and he is also under the ropes at the moment. So I don't think Listen, Lampard's in a job, John Terry is not in a manager's job, so it's very easy for one to come out and act the way they want and another to obviously be under the press and to have to, give that PR answer. I think for me, Lampard, everybody at Chelsea is kind of like, well, not everybody, but some Chelsea fans are certainly, maybe a little bit of love lost because of the stint that he had towards the end of his managerial career. But for me, I'm just separating the manager from the player, and that's what needs to be done. His managerial record is there. He's obviously got a lot of work to do. If he does potentially get Everton relegated, then my God, has he got a lot to do to climb. He may end up in the Sky Sports studio with these man. Do you know what I'm saying? If not...
Or in the DR Sports studio.
Bro, he could come sit right next to us. You know what I mean? If not, then he's definitely got to go back to the Championship, because I do want to see managers given rewards for progress, and if you haven't done well as a manager, you should be going back down, not just going off prestige and legacy. But listen, as a player, he's my favourite player. He's the guy that that caught my eye when I was first supporting Chelsea, in terms of his his record at Chelsea is ridiculous. Top goal scorer, all of these honours that he's won. So I'm always going to be able to, for me, separate the manager from the player, and to differentiate and give that accurate analysis that you need to give. And some people get waved up in that because they get caught up in merging the two. It's just easier to separate. It's like Kanye West, you separate the music from the old and the music from the new.
I feel like Michael Jackson as well in that way. Right, let's go back into the Championship. There's been a couple of goals to update you on, to remind you as well that Barnsley really struggling in the Championship. 23rd, they held Fulham to a 1-1 draw at home today. Harry Wilson scoring for Fulham in the last 5 minutes to rescue them a draw, and he apparently missed a sitter as well. Blackpool 1-0 up against Swansea. There's also been a goal at Cardiff against Preston. That's just coming into us now. We'll let you know who scored it when we know. And Nottingham Forest still 1-0 up at home to Reading. Bournemouth 0, Derby 0 still, Ollie. Second in the table at the minute, 14 points away from Fulham. I mean, is there any chance, with those 2 games in hand as well, that Bournemouth could try and maybe push for that top spot?
We've seen it done before. Watford were pretty much the side that were very, very much in advantage back in 2014-15. In the end, it went down to the final day. Last-minute goals go in, and you never know. But to be honest, from an AFC Bournemouth perspective here, it's all about just staying in second. Fulham look like a ship that have now sailed. And the football that we're playing under Scott Parker at the moment, it's results-wise relatively positive. We seem to win a couple of games and then we'll sort of drop some points, and perhaps people will be saying, well, that's been on the cards for a while. But results-wise, we're getting what we want. Footballing-wise, we're not. So I don't think we can look at Fulham at the moment. They're playing brilliant football, and I think they won 5-1 in the week, and their manager turned around and said, look, we didn't even play very well. Whereas at the moment, we're just about getting through games, winning them sort of 2-1, or we always seem to come back from behind. And I don't know, it's not convincing for a side that are going to win the Championship, let alone get second place. But luckily for us this season, there's been so many sides that have that just haven't had a run of form that's consistent. But at the moment, still 0-0 pretty much sums up the way we've been so far.
Yeah, Huddersfield pushing you very close in third place on the same points actually, but with those 3 games in hand over Huddersfield, which should help out Bournemouth quite a lot. Who's been the standout player for Bournemouth this season, if we aren't aware? Obviously a lot of eyes maybe taken away from Bournemouth once you go into that Championship, but who's really stood out? I know Dominic Solanke's had a great season.
Yeah, he has. I mean, he's the man that scores the goals. He's the man that usually, if you see Bournemouth win 3-1, 4-1, he's going to get involved. He's the man that you sort of would think you would rely on to get you results. But actually, it's been at the other end of the field. Mark Travers has been phenomenal. I think Aaron Ramsdale was a product that was brought to AFC Bournemouth. Didn't quite flourish until... Well, in the Premier League, he was the only reason we didn't finish completely bottom of the table, and gone by Christmas. He was fantastic. In the Championship, you always knew that he was going to move to a big club. It was the same with Nathan Ake. He was always too good for AFC Bournemouth as well. So I think Mark Travers is following in the footsteps of Aaron Ramsdale. Obviously now a major name in across the world, and he has been fantastic for Arsenal. But Mark Travers is giving you glimpses of Aaron Ramsdale. He's the player of the season for sure. He's kept Bournemouth in games, and I mean there was a game, I think it was Stoke the other day, that we were really average. It looked like a mid-table side against a mid-table side, and they took the lead. There was a lot of they were trying to break up play as much as they could, stop any sort of run of play, and in the end we got our 2 late goals, as we seem to do in AFC Bournemouth style at the moment. But there was one massive moment that won't get seen in the highlights, that won't get seen on the montages at the end of the season. It was Mark Travers who made a massive stop just off the back of getting the goal to put us ahead, and that's the sort of thing he's done consistently at 0-0, at 1-0, at 2-1, whatever the scoreline. You know that if they get a chance, he will keep you in games, or he will win you games, and that's the player of the season.
You signed young Freddie Woodman from Newcastle as well, who obviously kind of get in because of his form. Have you seen much of him? Because he's highly rated. He was at Swansea in the Championship and won the Golden Glove. Has he played much for Bournemouth? I'm guessing not, with the form of him.
No, I think nobody's going to knock Travers off top spot at the moment. In fact, Nyland, who he brought in from Aston Villa, ironically the goalkeeper that dropped it in the net and could have been the reason we were relegated. We brought him into the club. I think he played once in the FA Cup, made a bit of a howler in that game, and now we've sent him back. I think he's at Reading now, I believe it is. Who actually conceded with 1 minute into that game, so I don't know if he's playing. Yeah. I don't think Woodman's even had a chance, to be honest, which is unfortunate for him, because I think we wanted him to actually take number 1 spot at the start of the season, and I think Newcastle, obviously with Dubravka's injury, I think it was, said we can't do that. We're going to keep him, and then I think midway through the season we obviously picked him up. I think it was a January window, and he's just not had a chance. But it's given a chance for Travers to really show his form. He's been incredible, and I would not be surprised if he's a player that we see at a massive club soon.
Yeah. Ollie, are you surprised with how Ramsdale is doing that at Arsenal, of course, as well? I mean, that's a massive...
Big price tag, wasn't it? Everyone had raised eyebrows.
It's a massive switcheroo, isn't it, there?
It is. Honestly, not really. I think he's a player that is... He is the culture of football. He will be in the... If he's not playing, he'll be in the stands. And that is what a lot of players now, you see a lot of players come into clubs, and especially younger players, they're sort of not always in the squad. Sometimes they're sort of may not even be watching the game if they're not in the matchday squad. He is so invested in football, and it's so good to see someone that's always involved. He was at the AFC Bournemouth game the other day. Arsenal obviously weren't playing that day, and he was up in the stands. He wasn't in hospitality or sat in a box somewhere. He was up with the fans, and that is what Aaron Ramsdale is. And I think that is why he's just gone straight back to the Premier League and just fit straight in, even at a massive club of Arsenal stature, because he is somebody that you always know will give everything. He will throw himself across the goal to try and stop anything from getting near his sticks, and he's a brilliant player, and I'm not surprised that he's doing well for you.
Yeah, Arsenal playing tomorrow, of course, big game against Leicester. Do you know what? I actually think we should have done this show tomorrow. There's so many great games on Sunday. We've got Leeds, Norwich, Southampton, Watford, West Ham, Villa, Everton, Wolves, Chelsea versus Newcastle, and of course Arsenal versus Leicester. Let's go back to the Premier League and talk about Everton. I mean, you guys know I live in Liverpool. I'm around Everton fans a lot. Yeah. A lot of them saying now, I don't follow football, me mate. No, just because they're so embarrassed really to see their team doing so badly. 2 massive home games coming up for them. A lot of people are saying, if these games don't go their way, they're going down. They look in big trouble. Could they go down with Frank? I'll come to you first, Matty, but you've got a bit of ammunition for this question, because the next home game is Newcastle. Yeah,
and absolutely, they could go down with Frank, no doubt about it. You look at their running, and it's arguably the worst of all the sides down there. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the appointment to get Frank was bewildering for me in these circumstances. Maybe Lampard should have went back to a championship club and tried to push for promotion, or a mid-table club, maybe a Brentford or something like that when they started the season well. But to go to Everton with the pressure that they're under, with the pressure of the signings and the money they've spent, and the situation they find themselves in the league table, it was a strange one. It was a sticky one. I mean, the sacked Benitez, well, obviously with the Liverpool connections, but he kept Newcastle up on a shoestring budget year after year. So to sack a manager who was very experienced, you would not have been in this battle with Benitez.
They would be in this battle.
Exactly, and they wouldn't be if they still had Rafa.
But also selling Lucas Digne because Benitez didn't want him, and then you sack Benitez and Lucas Digne is now gone as well.
Yeah, who's making the decisions?
For me, Everton's decision making over the last couple of years deserves a relegation battle. It really does. 100%. And for me, I take a look at the situation. I say for Lampard, a lot of people are saying it's not the right job for him. I don't think it is the right job. You know, if you're going into a job because you're unemployed, it's because the team is in a mess and they need some sort of rescuing. And he was picking and choosing and he was rejecting and waiting. And I think you look at Gerrard, has obviously gone to a big club in Aston Villa. They've spent money. Everton is a similar type level club as well. You've got to do the job. You've got to do better. If you don't, you know, get them out of this mess and you do get relegated, then that will show on your manager CV as not being good enough and having to go maybe back down to the Championship and managing there. It's a cutthroat business. I think a lot of managers, they go into jobs and it's not perfect for them. The surroundings aren't great. I do question the signing of Dele Alli and what the point of that was, because I don't see him regularly starting at Everton. Don't see where he fits into the team.
And the character, though. The type
exactly.
of character
When you're in a relegation
He's
battle.
not a fighter to get you out of the mud, is he?
But more importantly, that defence is tragic. You know, I was speaking
Championship standard.
Yeah, I mean,
no offense.
Jamie Carragher.
I was speaking to Begovic yesterday, obviously a former, the Everton goalkeeper, and
Well, actually, just to stay on that,
What's his name?
you say Championship standard, and you say Begovic. I mean, he's a Championship goalkeeper brought from a Championship club, so it is Championship standard.
But for me, I take a look at those centre backs and I say to myself, you know, you do need better centre backs than that. If that was the January transfer window, you had to act then and get a better centre back to lead that defence. They haven't done that. And I watched a game against Tottenham. Tottenham have not been very consistent recently, and they put a lot of goals past them, and the defence was wide open, which is a big weakness in Lampard's game. You get a manager, you're going into a relegation battle, you need a good defence, you need good organisation and structure. One of Lampard's weaknesses would probably be defending and shape and leaving a team open, hence why he got Anthony Barry from Wigan for Chelsea. So there's a lot of mess going on there. There's a lot of work to do.
Because you'd look at Spurs and you'd expect them to probably get beat, but it's the manner of the defeat. When you're down there and you're getting wiped out of the game, wiped out of a chance of getting a draw within 20-30 minutes. How's the travelling fans going to feel? And we mentioned the fixtures before. Wolves in Newcastle for the rest of this month, and they're heading into April. West Ham, Man United, Palace, Merseyside Derby, Chelsea. I look and I think I can't see them win the game.
Yeah.
I honestly can't see them win a game of football.
Yeah, and obviously they've got that quarter-final against Crystal Palace in the FA Cup as well to look forward to. Maybe they're one tiny glimmer of hope to see how this season ends, but it's not looking good. A couple of comments coming in. Leeds are in more danger of relegation than Everton, says the main Anon. And what the football says, the kind of manager Everton could do with now in a relegation battle at this stage of the season, Rafa Benitez. And obviously they've already sacked him. Let's see what Félix and Abby thought in the Premier League preview show. I think they're outside Tottenham for this one. Let's see how they see the Everton relegation battle going.
Because they're so close to the relegation zone,
Can't rule them out.
they're definite contenders. Yeah, I think when you're in that situation, when you're fighting for your lives, and Everton fans will know it as well, I believe, you have to have that acceptance. You can't think you're too good for the drop.
Yeah.
Because if those players think that, they're in for a massive awakening. And the thing is, you look at Everton and Lampard, they ain't used to being in the relegation scrap. Donny van de Beek don't know what it's like to be down there. Neither does Dele Alli, even though he's been here. No, he's not near. You know. Do you know what I mean? They haven't got a clue about a relegation scrap. So, and you look at the likes of Burnley, who do.
And what they need, the credentials to get themselves out of it. This is going to be a really big test for Frank Lampard because, like we said, he got given the job at Chelsea probably too prematurely from his time at Derby, and then that didn't really work
got
out.
some good jobs, Lampard.
He has.
Not that big a CV.
For me, I would have been looking, if he was to get a job before Dean Smith went to Norwich, that would have been where I would have placed Lampard. I think that maybe Everton is just too big of a task.
Yeah.
But look, if it works out for him, it does. If it doesn't, who knows how long he might be out of a job for.
Yeah.
Félix and Abby both saying there that potentially Everton can't think that they're too big to go down. They don't have the kind of players that are used to a relegation scrap. And obviously we've just looked ahead at their fixtures as well. It's not looking good for the Toffees, but it's looking good for Liverpool fans.
Do you want them to go down though? Because we spoke a couple of weeks ago about Matty like missing his rival in Sunderland. They're nowhere to be found. Middlesbrough.
Funny you say that. Don Juan actually says, Alex, do you want Everton to go down? So it's a valid question. I mean, let's look at the pros and cons. The pros of them going down, unbelievable banter. Yeah, that's the main pro here. I mean, they can't chat to Liverpool now, but if you're in the Championship with that new stadium en route, you might as well cut off half 2/3 of the stadium because they ain't filling it if they're in the Championship. There's no doubt about that. The cons, listen, if it's Everton versus Man United in an FA Cup final, I want Everton to win that because of the city of Liverpool, what it would do. Do I want them to go down? Yeah, I do. This is going to sound hugely bitter on my part, but they're the only Premier League team that's never been relegated.
Yeah.
So that record has to go sooner or later. They're currently in the bottom 3, Matty.
They are. With Burnley
Now.
drawing at Brentford, they are in the bottom 3, and that could get worse if Burnley managed to get all 3 points. But I also want Everton to go down. I just think...
You want to take some players.
The banner. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's interesting to see how things would turn out there. They've got some big name players and some big wages, so it'll be interesting. And it just mixes it up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It mixes it up. A team that are going down, it's always a bit of a spring of a surprise. I think if I had to pick someone at the minute, it would be them or Leeds for me. I think Burnley will stay up in their Sean Dyche. Watford and Norwich are already down, so for me it would be
Burnley are much more equipped to get out of this than them. I think you
do
can
it
see
year in, year out.
Yeah, you can see it in their defensive record as well. They've conceded much less goals than the teams around them. I think they're kind of mid-table for goals conceded to goals scored, and of course they've added to the strike force. Cornet and Weghorst for the rest of the season should solve those problems. When you look at Everton, if they do go down, like you said, cherry picking for some of those attackers, especially Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, they're probably the worst team to go down in terms of finances. They're not ready. Like you said, new stadium, wages. You can bet a club that has never gone down.
It
could. Like a club that's never gone down
could.
does definitely not have relegation clauses in their contracts for sure. In those contracts, they're ready for the players. So
well, my best mate is an Everton fan, and at the start of the season, he was saying, "I really hope we can battle this year for Europe." Genuinely, and that is what they wanted. And obviously, you bring in the whole UEFA Conference League now. That's something that for your...
It's almost made for Everton.
It is. It is an Everton sort of competition, I would say.
They still can't get in it.
Yeah, and so surely Everton fans at the start of the season, I mean, what was it, after match day 5 or 4?
Top of the league.
Top of the table.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, we could do a West Ham. We could maybe battle Leicester.
Yeah.
Maybe try and battle for a Champions League, Europa League spot. But it has been absolutely terrible, hasn't it?
Shocking.
And I think, like you say, Everton, if they were to go down, they probably have nothing planned. Like you say, there's no... Everton did not start this season and think, if we were to go down, what would we do? Whereas the likes of Burnley, the likes of, like you say, Newcastle, the
They have
likes
contingency plans.
I
Yeah,
still
the
think
likes of
even now they
Brighton.
wouldn't have a plan. I think even now they're probably sitting there thinking, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
We'll be all right. I think it would either be stuck for a while. They could be the next Sunderland. Everton if they went down.
they showed that in
Wigan,
their appointment,
Charlton.
didn't they? They showed that in their appointment that they weren't thinking about relegation because Lampard's never been in a relegation battle as a manager or as a player for that matter. You know, this is the first time he's ever been in a relegation battle in his career. So, you know, Derby was all about promotion, Chelsea was all about top 4. So they haven't equipped themselves for this whatsoever. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were to go down and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now we'll do something.
You've got a plan, I think. If you are one of them sides that are going to likely be in that situation where you know you're going to be around the bottom 6, you've got to plan to firstly get out of that. Because I've always said this, the Premier League is split into 2. You get the top half, the bottom half. You're never going to see, you know, we're now March, April. You're never going to see Burnley, AFC Bournemouth, Sunderland. Well, you're not going to see Sunderland anywhere in the Premier League, are you? But you're never going to see these, the likes of your Blackburns, your Huddersfields, the smaller clubs that have got into the Premier League, and that's why I bring clubs like that into it. They're never going to look at the start to be up there. You know, the likes of Burnley, the likes of Brighton. Their first ambition is, can we get to the Premier League? Once they're in the Premier League, can we stay in it? And once you've sort of established yourself, I think, as a side, 5-6 years you're in the Premier League, maybe then, as Brighton have started to do in the last couple of years, fallen out of form, haven't they, really? But, you know, they start to think, can we try and get into that top half? Can we finish 9th? Can we finish 10th?
Yeah.
But that ambition
Takes
from
a while.
Everton is wrong. And it was the same with Newcastle. They have now, got as much capability, as much ambition as probably any club in the Premier League. They know that the sky is the limit now. But straight away, they come in and they bring in a manager that is known to keep clubs up. He's kept AFC Bournemouth up from several relegation battles where it looked impossible. And that is something that you've got to look at. Eddie Howe is not going to be there it'd be nice if he was, but he's not going to be there in 5-10 years' time. He's not a long-term ambition. I imagine anyway. But, you look at Everton Lampard, they've looked at him and gone, wow, yeah, I think he can put a team at the top of the table. Look what he did with Derby. He can get them into that top 6. But it's not like that in the Premier League. It's just not. You have to get the ambition straight.
I should also mention, I did make a mistake earlier. Arsenal also haven't been relegated, as well as Everton. The last time they got relegated, 1951. So a good while ago. Let's go back to the Championship. Been some goals there. Blackpool still 1 up at home to Swansea. Coventry 1, Sheffield United 1. Stoke winning away at Peterborough. That's 1-0. A Joe Allen assist. Still going strong for Stoke. The Potters is Joe. Still 0-0 in the Premier League as well. Not too much action today in the Premier League, as we mentioned, just the one game. Let's talk about Arsenal then. A big game for them tomorrow. Leicester, who have slightly picked up a little bit of form and don't have the worst record away at Arsenal, to be fair to them. But is the top 4 theirs to lose, Matisse? We've been speaking about Arsenal. Can they do it? They're 8 wins out of 10, a really good kind of run, and the 2 that they didn't win were draws.
Yeah.
So they're unbeaten in 10 now. Is it theirs to lose? Because if United win later on today, they go into 4th.
I always say it's Manchester United's to lose. I like putting that pressure on Manchester United. They're a big club, biggest institution in the world. You know, they sign all these players, Ronaldo, Sancho, Varane. For me, if they don't finish in the top 4, it's a disgrace. If Arsenal don't finish in the top 4, it's not seizing the opportunity and seizing the moment, and that will be disappointing, but they'll move on. It's not like as if they've been in the Champions League for a while anyway, whereas Manchester United will be catastrophic, I think. So for Arsenal, I think you just keep doing what you're doing. You know, you're not really under the radar, because of course we're talking about them now, but for me, if you're looking at Arsenal, seize the opportunity, because we talk about projects, we talk about planning. There's no better way to follow a plan than to be ahead of schedule, you know. And Arsenal finishing back-to-back 8th positions for me was underperforming. You know, they should have at least been finishing 6th last year, and that's the trajectory and progression that you're looking for. So maybe in terms of the time frame, Arsenal should be thinking about 4th. You know, whether we expected them to finish there at the start of the season, I certainly didn't. I had them to probably finish around 7th, the same kind of position they've been in, due to the signings which have really massively impressed me. But now you're kind of maybe on track to what you would have wanted 3 years ago if you were to set the plan out. Then go and get it. You know, it's a great opportunity, and we know that clubs in the summer are going to splash. They're going to return. They're going to, you know, respond from the seasons they're having. So Arsenal need to take advantage and try and finish in the top 4. Gets you that extra money. Now you can start maybe trying to acquire better players. We know Arteta's not exactly, you know, the pulling power machine of a Gerrard or a Lampard. You know, he's not a legend of the game. So you do need that Champions League qualification to balance it out. And I think if they get it, it'd be a very, very good season for them. And to be honest, when you look at Arsenal, they haven't been in Europe this season as well. They're out the cup competitions quite early, so they have got that extra, you know, helping hand of having 1 game a week. You have to take advantage, because wherever they finish this season, they're going to be in Europe, and then next season, these players that are doing very well are going to have to play that extra game, that extra bit of tax physically, and that could make a big difference, and it will make a big difference to the way that they finish the campaign next season. So they need to be in the Champions League 100%.
And if they do take advantage of those 2 games in hand, they'd only be 2 points behind you boys in 3rd. Are you worried about that?
Nope.
2 points, mate. 2
I'm not
points,
looking
nothing.
down. I'm not looking down. I believe in my team. You know,
But you're not looking up either, though.
No, we're not. We're just
Stationary.
I'm literally just looking. Just
eye level,
yeah,
Plaster.
literally. I've said it many a time. Like Chelsea, we just want to not be seen, not be heard, and that's obviously not going to plan.
You said that a couple of weeks actually ago, mate.
I did, didn't I? I said that a couple of weeks on the show. I was like, Matty, I just don't want to hear any drama. Not be seen, not be heard. I probably jinxed all this, but anyway, you know, when we look at Chelsea, I just say, listen, 3rd place finish. Don't get yourself into a top 4 battle. You're not going to catch Liverpool. We can see it today. They're clearly chasing the title. They're going on momentum now. They've won a ridiculous amount of games in a row. Just finish 3rd and focus on the Cup, the FA Cup and the Champions League, which is now a money grab. Literally every round you get through, you get more money. So that's what we need right now. So that's my priority for Chelsea. And I'm not looking down, if I'm honest, because I do think we're a better team than everyone below us. And we shouldn't be finishing behind them, especially with our level of manager, who tactically is pulling us places we wouldn't be with Champions League wins, etc. So just for me, just get the job done, you know, finish 3rd and don't be looking at Arsenal.
Where is the ambition then? Where are you looking at the Champions League? Because you're I mean, at the moment you're 8 points clear.
I mean, we can't pay the canteen ladies. There's no time for ambition right now. You know, we're literally just survival. We're literally survival mode. You know, finish the season. try and win the FA Cup, because of course you want to get to another final. We have lost about 4 or 5 domestic cup finals in a row now, which is really starting to bug me. I'm not going to lie. Wembley's becoming a tortured place for us. I'm almost ready to bring Didier Drogba out of retirement just to get the mood.
He'd probably
lifted.
be offside.
He probably would. But so obviously FA Cup would be nice, of course. And like I said, Champions League, just get as far as you can. It's very difficult to retain that trophy. That's not a realistic goal, especially with Chilwell out. That left hand side is hampered. But the further you get, like I said, the more money, and right now we need money. So I'm just focused on that, and we got fruit shoots being handed out, it seems, on the broadcasting. So but yeah, that's the priority for Chelsea is to just, we've won trophies this season. We've won the Club World Cup, we won the Super Cup, we've been to the final, the Carabao Cup, we've got to every cup final we've needed to get to this season. So we're doing well from a success standpoint. We've still got 2 more cup competitions to go, so we're
going to go and see how the game is going on at Bournemouth very soon. But Matisse, I wanted to ask you a question. It could be a difficult one for you to answer. What do you say to those fans who are rightly or wrongly criticising and almost laughing at Chelsea in their current situation? Because let's not forget, let's look at the stats here. When Roman comes into the club, I mean, we're joking about Save the Bridge. That was actually a real campaign in the late 90s.
Yep.
Abramovich comes into the club, you win all these trophies, but at what cost? Morally, how I mean, it's difficult to ask this question, obviously, because there's 2 sides of it, but what do you say to those fans that are happy that this has happened to Chelsea?
Look, I'm well accustomed to football banter. Do you know what I'm saying? If Chelsea are going to be broken, of course, people are going to enjoy that, and they're going to laugh at that, because we did come in and almost break football for England, is what people will say, that ruined football, quote unquote, because we came in with the money, we started taking trophies that would have gone out elsewhere to other fan bases who obviously, and we may have ruined some childhoods in the process in terms of that. And that's just what it is. Do you know what I mean? We know what we are. We're not liked, we're not here to be loved. The only time we were really liked by the general population and the media is when Lampard was here, and that's because we weren't competitive. So we know what we are. We're not here to be loved in that respect, because we are trying to take trophies from traditional big clubs before us who obviously have got big fan bases as well. The way I look at it for Chelsea is I just compartmentalize it. Of course, if we are restricted and we fall down the table and people are saying that we're 10th and they're laughing at that, run the jokes, run the banter. My thing is just obviously the employees that are not getting paid. That's where I'm saying, listen, in any circle of life, in any walk of life, if someone's not getting paid, if someone's losing their job and it's not their fault and it's literally just factors out of their control, then that's where obviously I have massive sympathies for those people, and that's what's happening at Chelsea currently. There's people suspended on pay, etc. Again, bigger things happen in the world, but those people I sympathise with, because obviously they haven't got anything to do with the situation. But people are going to run their banter. People are going to enjoy Chelsea's demise if they fall down the table, and I would too if a big club, so-called big club, Manchester United, I'm having plenty of fun watching them, in the position they're in terms of not challenging for trophies, because they dented my childhood. I saw Moscow, I saw the 3-peat, in a row in terms of Premier League titles. I'm more than happy for them to go without trophies. So people are running banter on that. That's just friendly fire. That's how it goes.
A lot of banter coming in right now, to be honest. World champions, definitely a Chelsea fan saying he's supporting Arsenal from now on.
Oh, God.
Interesting.
How would I do that as a content creator, by the way? The amount of people that say to me, "Oh, you're going to support Newcastle or Arsenal." How would I rebrand? How does that work? How would I even take the heat? This is not going to happen.
You got too much out there.
Bro, I've got too much out there. Probably, come on, it's just not going to happen.
Another comment from Agent E. Just liquidate Chelsea and end their misery. Only humane thing to do. Chelsea have a £100 million striker they should be challenging. Chelsea, money laundering FC. Tainted trophies, tainted club. Save the bridge, £5 for me, from Luis Garcia. Who also
do you know what?
tainted your history.
This is why I love the Western world.
But look, world champions Chelsea fans, we are a disgrace.
But this is why I love the Western world, because it's full of hypocrisy, right? If you had
Everyone's
said, if you had said to these group of supporters in the chat now, if Roma could have bought their club in 2004, 2003, they would have said absolutely yes, let's go and get it done. Tottenham fans would have been laughing. They would have been winning trophies. And I've seen people's tweets like Piers Morgan, for instance, I wish he had bought Arsenal. Now suddenly he's got a problem. So it's just a lot of hypocrisy. People want their clubs to be bought by rich owners, at least a majority of people anyway. And if this was happening to them, then it would be switched completely on, Uno reverse card. So that's just how I look at it in terms of like the whole liquidate and all this nonsense, tainted trophies. Everybody wants to win things, and most football fans have not been thinking about how their clubs have been run, how their owners have financed their clubs for the last 2 decades. decade since football in this country has been changing. Now suddenly people are thinking about it.
Yeah, apparently Chelsea fans, obviously the club shop is closed, you can't buy anything in it. They have been going to other sporting shops, retail points to hand in their Chelsea kit to get a Newcastle one. That's what I've been hearing.
Well, he's wearing black and white today, aren't he?
Well,
He's getting there. He's getting there.
Look like a fourth official.
I did this purposefully. Yeah,
the VAR,
I really do. I did this purposefully
Holding up your board.
for that joke. I just wanted you to be set up for that one.
Love that.
I'm glad you took advantage.
Big up
of
to
that, man.
Motasir Ali for the super chat. £2 Save the Bridge donation, he says. So we've got 2.45 in the cup now. Again, we might need a little bit more than that. Ollie, let's come back to you. Bournemouth still 0-0 as we approach half time. The goals are flying in the Championship. 2-0 Bristol Rovers at home to Harrogate. Sheffield Wednesday now 4-0 up at home to Cambridge United. Sadio Berahino scored 2 there.
Saturday football show legend.
Well, absolutely.
Berahino.
We spoke about him last week and the week before. Talk to me about this game so far for you. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's been all Bournemouth so far from what I can see. It's been a game that we've seen before at Dean Court over and over and over again. AFC Bournemouth keeping the ball, keeping possession, that, you know, times that you feel like maybe they could progress, maybe they could take the risk of making a forward pass and risk losing possession and trying to win it back. But we don't do that, and it's almost death by possession. But we have created chances. There was a chance a moment ago with Jefferson Lerma, ball into the box. Ryan Allsop, former Bournemouth player, he missed the ball. No foul given by the referee, but the ball scrambled away. And Jadon Anthony had a chance about 20 minutes ago now. Beat his man 20 yards out, whipped it, but not quite enough on it to get it inside the post. So that they're creating chances, but still 0-0. You've got to be looking at possibly now trying to get that goal before it gets to the point where Derby will be thinking, well, we're going to try and get something from this. We're going to just sit back and let you attack us, which we've seen before at AFC Bournemouth. And I think they need the goal.
Interesting comment for you, just quickly, Matisse, and then I'll hand over to you. Rob Hanuauter says Parker Ball killing Bournemouth like he did Fulham in the Prem.
How have Bournemouth fans took this Scott Parker, actually?
It's very, very, very 50-50. There's an AFC Bournemouth podcast that described it actually as you've gone to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant and you've been served beans on toast. You like beans on toast. It's a good meal. You'll take beans on toast. But if you go to Gordon Ramsay, you're sort of looking for something really
beans a la toast.
You're looking you're looking for some cuisine, not your beans on toast. But that is, at the end of the day, getting us results. You eat your beans on toast, you don't need anything else. You know what I mean? But at the moment, Scott Parker, it's like that at AFC Bournemouth. You're getting conflicted views, or people are sort of making jokes about it, saying, oh, this is terrible, but we won, so it's all right. And that is the way that it's been. I think and this is my opinion, if we do go to the Premier League, and I think we will this season, if we don't change the ways, if we don't change the way we play, I think we'll be straight back down. And likely could, I think, break some records in doing so, because there is very, very, very little confidence in the team. Before kickoff today, there was a 5-minute video shown to the players and the fans as they came out, pretty much saying, back the club, back the manager, we're going to get there together. You know, it's not going to be easy, it's not going to be beautiful football, we're going to get there, stick behind the lads. And that is almost, I think, showing what the problem is at the moment. We're sort of having to have a media inquest of, you know, should we back the manager? Are Bournemouth fans on the sort of train of, is Parker out, is he in? And for my personal opinion, you've got to back the players, and they've got to back you on the pitch. That is the best video, the best sign, the best response, the best message they can give you is by playing good football, scoring good goals. And you know, you don't always get what you want in football by playing brilliant football. And I'm sure you'll agree that Chelsea, on their way to the Champions League, they weren't brilliant the whole way, but they got there and they won it. And that's the difference. And if Bournemouth were to get promoted this season, I'm sure any Bournemouth fan at the start of the season, if you were to ask them right now, you know, skip the season but you get promoted, 100%, every fan would take that off you. But right now, there's a very, very split opinion.
I'm assuming you're talking about the 2012 one, because obviously the last one we actually played pretty well.
Well, for a neutral point of view, I wouldn't agree. But
I'm not going to get into that debate. But yeah, I think with Bournemouth,
we've got the time.
No, I'm not going to get to that, because
half time at Brentford.
That Champions League win for Chelsea's looked upon so poorly in my opinion from rivals when if you actually from what I was watching,
He's
we
just
dominated.
AFC Bournemouth's a rival. We've beaten that many times.
I think what Ollie means.
We're now a
Well,
rival.
you beat us all the time, innit?
Yeah.
I think what
Eddie Howe beat you, and he will do tomorrow.
I think the point,
I'm
and
holding
again,
you to that.
tell me if I'm wrong here, but the way that Chelsea got to that final, there was no big wins. There was no
Disagree.
emphatic. No, in terms of 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, but it's the Champions League.
Well, we beat Barcelona 4-0.
Yeah,
know what I
but
mean?
you also lost the first leg, didn't you?
Yeah, 3-0.
Exactly. So I would prefer, and this is why I'm talking about consistency. I would prefer that what Chelsea did, which is set goalkeeping and defensive records for not conceding a goal in God knows how long in the Champions League run, but also that was obviously built off a good defence, but dominating each game. And the only reason why we didn't win at a canter for most of those games is because of poor finishing. We know Chelsea's issue is the attack, and the likes of Timo Werner missing chances, Pulisic not taking his chance against Man City to make it 2-0. So we dominated, we created the chances to win in an emphatic, lovely way that everybody would appreciate. But when you watch those games, we miss chances, and that's the biggest issue. But going back to Bournemouth, I think, we were speaking about it before, it's such a weird environment for you to be describing that you're about to potentially go up and it's not a happy, buzzy environment. Every time you think of a championship team that's on the cusp of promotion, you think of confetti and balloons and everybody's buzzing.
We're going up signs.
Yeah,
everywhere.
we're going up signs and happiness, and you're describing already before you potentially get to the Premier League issues. That for me is I've never seen that before.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you the answer straight away to why that is. That is exactly because we've got 4 players in our lineup that are worth more than 10 million in terms of what we brought them in for, what we paid for them. More than 4 players at the moment are worth 10 million. You could argue now that
who are they?
Well, you've probably got Lerma, Solanke. I would think that Ryan Christie now is probably worth more than 10 million. Lloyd Kelly at the back as well. Like I say, you could add more to that list.
Did he come from Liverpool, Lloyd Kelly?
I
think academy
so.
days.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, and
there's been a goal though at the Vitality Stadium. I
we
should
will
say.
absolutely take it.
49 minutes into the first half. This has been a very late goal, but as we're talking about Bournemouth, Dominic Solanke scores a massive goal. Ollie, how are you feeling right now?
Oh, much better than I was about a minute and a half ago, that's for sure. But like I say, we're at the moment struggling, but there is always a man up top that will get you goals. He does usually need a few chances.
That's his fourth one.
A few
Fourth chance of the goal.
chances. Yeah, we've had a few chances already today. And finally now we take the advantage and we go ahead. Like I say, 5 minutes into added time, there was an injury to Leif Davis. He's been waiting so long to get a chance, and then 27 minutes in, he's off. But in a way, it's silver lining because we've got the equaliser. The
Equaliser?
I'm used to it by now. We always go behind and then we
Feature.
get our equaliser. But yeah, we've got the goal we needed. Dominic Solanke.
Big
and,
Dom.
If there's a man to rely on at the moment, it'll be him.
Dom in the bungalow. 1-0.
Dick and Dom. Love to see it. Half time in a lot of the games in the Championship. Birmingham 0, Hull City 0. Barnsley already drawing 1-1 today with Fulham. Blackburn 0, Bristol City 0. Blackpool 1, Swansea 0. Bournemouth now ahead at home to Derby. Wayne Rooney will be pulling his hair transplant out there at half time. Cardiff 0, Preston 0. Coventry 1, Sheffield United 1. Millwall 0, Middlesbrough 0 at the Den. Forest 1-0 up at home to Reading. And Peterborough 1, Stoke 0 at half time. A couple of teams that are pushing for those final kind of playoff spaces. I mean, you can throw in QPR, Middlesbrough, Nottingham Forest, all in there, very, very close in the Championship. Could we see maybe this year a team that we're not used to seeing come up into the Premier League? I'm talking about
Luton
maybe
Town.
a Luton who are sixth and they're in that position right now in the playoffs just.
Yeah.
But could we see a team like Luton, like Forest, that we haven't seen for ages or ever in the Premier League actually come up this year?
It would be nice to see. We want to see something different. Luton, famously for me, known as the place with the airport that I travel out of. So I'd love a little bit more to grasp to with Luton, and I think if they come up, it would be interesting to see. Obviously, we played them in the cup game. They fared okay in that game, and obviously Nottingham Forest. Now I think Nottingham Forest is the one that that would be great to see as well, because obviously it's a big club. They've got a lot of
Massive
history,
club.
massive club.
2 European Cups.
Yeah. More.
As many as you.
More
That
than
FA
Arsenal and
Cup could
Tottenham.
be a distraction.
More than Arsenal and Tottenham
Cup.
combined.
This is
Yeah.
the thing.
The FA Cup.
Obviously got Liverpool next Sunday
Yeah.
in the FA Cup quarter-final. I mean, they've already knocked away Leicester. They've already beaten Arsenal
Yeah.
Is that
at the
at
City
Forest or
ground.
at
Is that Forest?
Oh, man.
Which could make it interesting.
Very
Actually,
interesting.
quite an emotional one, that, because the last time Forest played Liverpool in the FA Cup was, of course, Hillsborough back in 1989. So I'm assuming there'll be some kind of nice touch
Respect
thrown
that.
in towards the end or the start of the game. So yeah, we could well see a team like QPR, Borough as well, who both haven't been in the Premier League for some time, come back up. You've got Huddersfield fighting there, Blackburn.
Yes.
I mean, another team, bro. These guys won the Premier League in '94.
Yep. Long time.
Just unbelievable to see that they've not been in the Premier League for so long.
They were like a stalemate of match of the day for me growing up in the
Yes.
Blackburn. Do you know what I mean? Like at Ewood Park and that Big Sam, and they had some great players there.
Tunchai?
Pedersen.
No, not Tunchai. What was the Turkish guy?
Tudgay, yeah. Pedersen,
Wow.
Bentley, Benny McCarthy.
Kubu was there for
Rocky
a bit.
Santa Cruz.
Rocky Santa
Paul
Cruz
Robinson.
was clutch. Yeah.
Lucas
Samba.
Neal.
Damien Duff when he started.
Yeah. Brad Friedel. So it's
David Dunn.
Yeah, I think
David Dunn,
maybe them and Nottingham Forest. If it's not going to be a newcomer, then those would be the two. I'm not really keen on seeing QPR. I'm not really too interested.
I'd like a bit of
in
Borough, get a Middlesbrough up here again, doing well in the FA
Well, you
Cup
need
this
a
year.
rival, yeah?
We need a derby. Yeah, Sunderland, forgot about them.
Travel
If I
costs,
could
bring the
choose,
travel costs down.
Listen, Fulham are well clear. They're going up.
Yeah.
Let's just presume, even though Bournemouth are still only 2 points ahead of Huddersfield, big games in hand though.
Games
So let's
in
say
hand.
that Bournemouth go up as well. You're on the show today.
We'll take
Out of Huddersfield, Blackburn, Sheffield United, Luton, QPR, Middlesbrough and Forest, I'm going to put all of them teams together because any of them could go up.
Yeah.
Let's pick one out of those teams to go up. Who we'd like to see.
Yeah.
So Fulham, Bournemouth are in. I'm going to go with... Listen, my girlfriend's from Nottingham. I'd like to see Nottingham Forest back in. Maybe I won't be saying that next Sunday if they beat us. Matisse, who do you want to see back up?
I'm
going
to agree. I think the chance
Forest.
that they're going to sing against some of my local North London derby counterparts in Arsenal and Tottenham, some of the songs they're going to be able to sing to them, I need to hear them. So yeah, them European Cups bring them over.
Yeah. Matt,
I mean,
who do you want to see up?
Forest have got the ground for the Premier League, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've got
35k
the,
there?
the bill for it there. I hear there's a Hooters in Nottingham.
There
so
is. I've been there.
Get up for Forest away. But I'd go for...
Bit old school now.
I'd go for
Hooters,
Luton.
isn't it?
Really,
I'd go for
Luton?
Big up Luton. Never seen them in the Premier League before. So let's bring
Harriets?
Luton in.
Is that their name?
Luton could be like the Blackpool when they came up. Do you know what I mean? Like a team you wouldn't expect to see them in the Premier League.
Like I said, there's
Luton
an
away
airport
to
there,
Man
so-
United, Liverpool, Man City, and that. Yeah, it'd be good crack. Or like I said, Middlesbrough for a bit of a derby.
Forest, Luton. Who do you want to see back in the Prem?
I'd like to see Blackburn, only because they play the way that I think AFC Bournemouth should be playing, which is where they've got a lot of players that have the talent, and they've worked around Ben Brereton Diaz. He's injured at the moment, and I think they went 6 games without scoring. I think it's still 0-0. It is indeed, still 0-0 today against Bristol City. But I think when they've got their whole squad fit, I think they're a great side. So I'd like to see them in the Premier League.
Very interesting. Some great comments coming in now. Keep them coming as well. John Harvey, Arsenal is Chelsea's retirement home. Interesting comment there. Chelsea are finished and we're all for it, says Quavi London.
Who does
They'll
he
become
support?
our feeder club like Watford. Who?
That person there. You know, do you know something?
Arsenal.
Do you know something I've realised? Only a few clubs can actually chat to us in terms of pre-Roman, like Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, cool. But Tottenham fans, I'm seeing, and I'm saying this now because I know Fuad and Toby are coming down here for the watch along later. I don't want to hear any smoke from you. 6 years.
Save this for when they get here, mate.
I will. 6 years
Hopefully not
before
much longer.
Chelsea and Roman, joined forces. Chelsea won 6 trophies in 6 seasons: 2 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, UEFA Super Cup, and the Cup Winners' Cup. So that's just a little history, a little bit of history for some people that think Chelsea weren't winning anything prior to Roman. We weren't winning the cups. Obviously, the successes tripled, doubled, quadrupled, whatever. But we weren't winning things. And Tottenham are still not winning things right now. You're not winning things now. You wasn't winning things before. You won't win any things in the future. So just mind yourselves, yeah. I don't want to see the wrong people chiming in.
And it wasn't even a Spurs fan who said that.
Well,
It was an
listen,
Arsenal
their
fan.
club gets dumped on regardless.
Got caught hella friendly fire shots there.
You finished there 4th, didn't you, before you got taken over? Was it
Yeah,
4th
yeah,
or 5th?
yeah.
So it's still, it's not like a Man City.
it's
where
not a
they
disaster,
finished-
is it?
They finished 10th.
We're basically there
before you
now,
got
so
taken
it's
over.
just leaving us where you found us.
People are saying the only West London club next season will be Fulham.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Right, it is half time as well in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Brentford
Goalless.
0. Burnley 0. Hopefully we see some goals from that game in the second half. Of course, we've already spoken about the championship scores. Goals flying in all over the place there. Let's talk about one of the teams that are playing tomorrow. West Ham, obviously a big away day for them in the week. There was some horrible scenes of clashes between them and Frankfurt fans, because in the city of Seville, obviously Betis played Frankfurt on the Wednesday night, and then Seville played West Ham. So we don't like to see that, of course. But they lost the game 1-0. It wasn't a vintage West Ham performance. They've got Villa away, which is Villa at home tomorrow night. Villa obviously 4-0, 3-0 on form right now. Do you think, Matty, will come to you, are they going to rest players for Villa? Because let's not forget, they're not out of that tie with Sevilla. They've still got a lot to do in that tie. Are they going to see some players maybe dropping out for this home game against Villa?
I think so. I think this is arguably West Ham's biggest game in a long time, isn't it? In recent memory, no doubt about it. We've seen Declan Rice coming in and out the side through fitness concerns of late, and they're only 1-0 down, so they're without a doubt still in the tie. Do you know what I mean? It's a massive home game at the London Stadium next week for West Ham. So if I was them, if I was the coaching, the players, the fans, I'd want to see players rested tomorrow, because that is a massive game. If they can get past Sevilla, just fancy the chances to continue in that tournament, no doubt, because Sevilla being one of the favourites, if they can get past them, you know, they could, I wouldn't say go the distance, but potentially fancy themselves to at least get to the semis and things, you know. So it's a massive game for them.
They're going up against Europa League experts, isn't it?
This is the thing.
Yeah, get the job done.
For West Ham, I think their biggest issue right now is juggling between the league and the Europa League, because their squad is so thin in terms of depth, real quality depth. They kind of have to pick and choose, and both routes could give Champions League football. I think, if anything, at the moment, Europa League's maybe more realistic for them than the Premier League would be. And I think you're killing two birds with one stone. You're getting a trophy and Champions League football. I don't think they should even be ruling themselves out of winning it. You know, we've seen Fulham get to the final against Atletico Madrid,
2010,
beat Juventus, Bobby Zamora. You know,
Zoltan Gira.
Yes.
Zoltan.
Crafty. That was a lovely name there. There's some really good players in that Fulham team. Now you're sending me into nostalgia.
Danny Murphy.
Yeah. West London rival. Shout out to you, innit?
Simon Davis.
Simon Davis. Yeah. Look at you two. But yeah,
Saha.
Yeah, again,
is this a
before the
competition?
era. Not in that. We're talking about 2010, mate.
Nah, he played there, man. He played.
So I don't have no rivalry, no beef with West Ham. I actually wouldn't mind them going all the way and winning it. Again, it would just be another thing to point at Tottenham and Arsenal fans in terms of Europe. So just go for it, man. Go for it. Get Declan Rice fit and try and win that competition. It would be good. Some pedigree for them. And yeah, man, it's exciting. What a journey for them. Hopefully they actually do overturn it against Sevilla, because Sevilla
I think that's a good result. I know they lost the game. I mean, and you always look at these games and you think, well, if we can sort of get something out of this, obviously with the no away goal, if you could get a 0-0 or 1-1 there, fine. But a 1-0 result away in Sevilla, that's a great result, I think, for West Ham. I was speaking to some West Ham fans and they said, look, as long as we don't get completely thumped here where it's 3-0 and you think, well, it's going to be very hard to overturn, as long as it's still in play, that's what they wanted. And I think 1-0, if you were to ask most West Ham fans if they'd take 1-0 at the start of the game, they probably would have done. I know it's a defeat. I know it's, you know, it's put Sevilla within a slim sort of advantage, but 1-0 is nothing really in European football,
especially with no away goals, like you said.
That's the thing. With the away goals gone, it's massive, and I genuinely think that's a great result, and I actually think they'll overturn it.
And Europa League really hotting up now at this stage of the season. You've got Betis going away to Frankfurt next week. They were 2-1 losers in the first round. You've got Monaco, who are looking like they might crash out. Lost 2-0 to Braga in the first leg. West Ham obviously is still in with a shout. Lyon and Porto very close there in the aggregate of 1-0. Leverkusen at home to Atalanta. Galatasaray host Barcelona next week in what promises to be an intense atmosphere for Barcelona, and it was only 0-0 at the Nou Camp. Some amazing saves from the Galatasaray keeper. However, that is no guarantee that Barca are getting through. That is a tough place to go on a Thursday night.
Would you say that would be more of a shock than PSG going out?
What, Barca going out to
Barcelona
Galatasaray?
going out to Galatasaray?
Probably, yeah, because PSG were playing against Real Madrid, and Real
Barcelona
Madrid
should be walking this competition.
They should.
But then again, so should PSG with the lineup they've got.
No, I would disagree because Real Madrid have the pedigree in European football to compete, and they're always going to be a problem regardless.
The experience won them the game.
Yeah.
But there's no way if you were going to line up, and again, on paper, they should have won the game. On the field, they shouldn't. That's the thing.
Do you know what? I would disagree. I say PSG on paper and on the field they should have won. You know, Casemiro was out, Mendy was out.
How good was Modric?
Kroos had doubts.
amazing.
Modric was incredible in the second half. But I watched both the games, and 75% of that tie, PSG were better than Real Madrid. They were better in the first leg. Real Madrid didn't have a single shot on target in the first leg. They were so poor. Didn't come out of their own half the time. Couldn't get no control of possession. And then in the second game, PSG, again, controlled them in the first half. It's just that final, most important second half of the second leg blitzed.
Speaking about PSG, their current manager, obviously Pochettino, who we're all aware of from his time at Tottenham, a lot of shouts this week, maybe linking him with the Manchester United job. Obviously, it's the man that they want at the helm. You saw the comments in the week through on Sky Sports when they were talking about United didn't want Conte, they wanted Poch. I mean, if you are United, do you want Poch now? Matty, let's go to you first.
What's he done? Let's be honest, what's he done? Brilliant job at Spurs, on a budget, get them to finals, didn't win anything. Plays nice football, brilliant. If you're a Man United fan, you went years without winning a trophy. Is Pochettino the right man for the job? Is he the right man to walk in this dressing room full of egos? He's clearly not handling the egos at Paris Saint-Germain. Big egos there, big egos at Manchester United. Doesn't make sense for me that. For Poch or for the board that would appoint him. I think they'll go with Ten Hag, but Pochettino's name doesn't go away. And I just don't see it. I think Pochettino has to come back, build the club again like he did with Spurs, but actually get the rewards for it, get the
But he
trophies.
needs time.
But I
that,
disagree.
He
Because
won't
I
get
think
time at PSG.
I think Man United need a rebuild. You know, Ronaldo should be leaving in the summer. He's 37. He's clearly not the same player that he once was. And if you want to be any sort of progressive modern day football club, you need to press from the front now. That's just the rules. That's literally the rules now. If you don't do that, you're going to get ripped apart. Pogba's leaving in the summer. That's another ego gone. Potentially another big name. Cavani's gone. Bruno Fernandes, for me, that guy has been shown up this season as to yes, he got all those goals and all those goal contributions to no prevail because he didn't get a trophy, scoring goals after the final whistle against Brighton, etc. Yeah, he's a good player, but he's not anywhere near some of the names I've seen him put alongside. I'm sure you've seen it, Gerrard and Lampard, with all the statistics he was breaking, all the foolishness that was coming out there, the propaganda train. Maguire, another player you need to look at. Again, the captain of the football club, not playing to the level of Manchester United. I could go through most of their team, at least half of it, that needs stripping. So
well, you just have gone through half the team.
Yeah, but the only reason why is because we may run out of time. You know, Pochettino probably is the guy that could rebuild a club. I don't think Pochettino's managerial credentials should be stripped just because of PSG. We've seen PSG have problems with manager before. Tuchel's spoken about it in terms of big characters, big egos, family members getting involved. Leonardo, they just had a fist fight after the Real Madrid game in the change room. Now they're sent to UEFA. Do you know what I mean? It's like that club is so difficult to manage. It's almost impossible to manage with, especially when you add Messi to already Mbappe and Neymar. That's so much ego, so much, prestige. You can't drop them. You can't tactically tell them exactly maybe what you want them to do at the start of the season. I think for me, I'll judge Poch on his next job. And I think Man United, Ten Hag, I know it's everybody's dream right now, but Ten Hag for me, he's been so meticulous and so careful with where he's going. I don't see him walking into Manchester United. I don't see why he would. I think he's built up enough credit now and he's on an upward trajectory, whereas Poch is being questioned and Man United are being questioned. So I think the two align. Ten Hag, he should be waiting for one of the best jobs in football, like Manchester City, if Pep was to go. Going into stability, going into a simple, clear brand of football, top to bottom sorted. Don't see why we go to Man United either.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee to say that they'll get Ten Hag either. I mean, if you are looking to get him, you're going to have to pay a lot of money to prize him away from Ajax. They're absolutely killing it in their league. Yes, the United job is maybe something that every manager wants in their CV. But right now, I just don't think it's an attractive option. And it's almost like these guys are saying that they're going to get a Pochettino or a Conte or a Ten Hag. And we have just put a poll up in the chat, so do get voting. We've got Pochettino, Ten Hag or Conte. Who gets the United job? And if you've got any other options, there may be some names outside of those three that might get the job. Then that would be interesting to know as well. Speaking of United, a lot of back and forth this week between Rashford and Ralph Rangnick on rumours that apparently Rashford isn't happy with the game time under Rangnick, could be looking for a move away from Manchester United as well. Gary Neville has had a lot to say about this, saying it would be bad for the club's image to get rid of Rashford after what he's done in terms of off the pitch as well. Matty, where could Rashford go, and should he leave Manchester United? Let's not forget that's his boyhood club.
Well, Newcastle are keeping an eye on Marcus Rashford.
Anyone they'll take. You know what I mean?
Is there anybody you won't take?
Various reports. Lukaku. Various
Oh,
reports.
he's done him.
Now
He's
that's
done him.
disappointing.
Yeah, you set yourself up for that one, though, bro.
Various reports linking Rashford with Newcastle. I don't know. Just because the drop in form, it's rumoured that he's going to be left out of the England squad for the next international break. I doubt his character a bit there for me. He should just be getting on with it on the pitch, taking his chance when it comes. He's been at Man United for 5-6 years now. Maybe it is time for a fresh start. All depends on who the new manager is. But you look around, where would he go? In the Premier League, I don't think there's anywhere. I think maybe you would look abroad, wouldn't you?
Everton in the Championship. See that? If I was him, I'd go abroad.
Him and Rondon up front.
Well,
The Premier League.
I think the
it's not
Bundesliga
rough.
would be a good move.
Go
for him.
Dortmund.
That'd be a
Yeah,
great
Go
move.
Dortmund, Borussia Dortmund.
Do you know what? I actually feel sorry for him in a way, because if you think about it, I'm sure he would say this as well. His best position is number 9, through the middle.
Yeah.
If you look at all the years that he's been at United, when he burst onto the scene, they were really short up front. So he did play there and scored a lot of goals. Zlatan comes, you get moved out to the right and left, or number 10 in some cases. Cavani comes, Ronaldo comes. When have you even had the opportunity to play in your best position?
I don't know what his position is, to be honest. I don't know if it is striker. I think Martial was also playing striker for them. He had a very good season then.
Another one that got moved away.
Yeah, he got moved on. I think with Rashford, for me, I look at him and I think to myself, I don't really know why you're complaining. You're not playing well. You know, you came off the bench against Man City. You didn't really offer much again. You're not pressing. Man United fans are telling me all the time. I speak to them every week. You're not pressing. He's not pressing. I mean, Rashford should be pressing. You got legs. You're quick. Why are you not pressing? It doesn't make any sense. I understand why Ronaldo might not be pressing. Don't know why you're not pressing. Maybe he's just been there for too long and he needs that new fresh start. We look at Aubameyang. I know he's a lot older. Goes to Barcelona, fresh start, sunshine. You know what I mean? Rainbows. Now goals are being scored. New project. You know, it's exciting. It's a kickstart. Most people in their careers, in their lifetime, they want that kickstart in any walk of life, let alone football. I think for me, we look at PSG needing a runner in behind. He could maybe get lucky, because I think he'd be lucky to go to a club that good. Yeah. But he could maybe potentially fall into that. I think Bundesliga would suit him perfectly. He loves spacing behind. For me, he's a counter-attacking striker. Some of the best Rashford moments I think of is when he's running in behind.
There's only one team
line.
that would take him.
What, in the Bundesliga?
Yeah.
Who?
Dortmund.
I think maybe there's other teams
Well,
there.
who
Whether they
else
could
would-
afford
who else
him.
would you go to?
Yeah.
You're not going to Bayern. They're not going to pay
the
for
Bayern
him.
won't take him. Dortmund are probably the
you
only
don't
ones that
really
could
want to
afford
go
him.
anywhere else if it's not going to be Dortmund.
Yeah, the major issue for Rashford is his wages.
I'm not going to go Leverkusen, with all due respect.
It's true.
Nobody's going to match those wages.
It's the wages. So much money he's earning, and obviously we know the prestige around the name. It's more than football now, isn't it? He's if anything, off the pitch, he's bigger than he is on the pitch right now. And I think Gary Neville was saying that his image would take a hit if he were to leave and etc. But his primary job is obviously football. If he wants to make the England squad, he needs to be playing games. So he's going to have to prioritise that.
Tell you where he could go, actually. Who needs strikers this summer? Arsenal.
It's just, I could see.
Let us know in the
I could
comments.
actually see that.
Could you?
I
Rashford.
could
I
actually
could see
see
him at
that.
Arsenal.
Could he
Rashford
end up
at Arsenal?
At Arsenal, we've seen United strikers leaving for their
Danny
and joining
Welbeck.
Arsenal in the past.
Vice versa.
Exactly.
Sanchez
and
and that.
going the other way, Mkhitaryan.
They like a
swapping.
good deal, those two clubs, actually. don't they?
Sanchez.
I think
Yeah.
he should stay for this. I don't think he should be leaving this year, though. I really don't. And the reason I say that is because United need a project. Whether it's the manager, whether it's the players on the field, they need a project. And that is what I think the majority of United fans would say. Because, like yourself there, that they just want to get into the top 4. They just want to get Champions League football. They would just want to solidify themselves again as a big club. Not finishing 6th, not finishing 7th, not sort of having this period where they don't really know where they stand. Yeah. And I think the manager doesn't have to live on the side of the River Irwell to be loved at Manchester United. You don't have to be Mancunian, you don't have to be a Marcus Rashford to be loved there, but you've got to have a project, I think, at Manchester United to be backed. And I think bringing in Ronaldo, bringing in Cavani, yes, short term, they're going to score you goals, they're going to get you, they're going to win you games.
At the moment.
Let's have a look at
5 years.
a little bit of a deep dive into Rashford's career so far. As we all know, he burst onto the scene in 2015-16, 11 games, 5 goals in the Prem, and I think he was only 17 at the time, some start. And again, as I mentioned, Zlatan comes into the club in 2016, maybe not the main man all of a sudden, 32 appearances, only 5 goals there. And then he gets 7 goals, 10 goals, 19-20 was his best season in terms of goal output, 17 goals. Then 11 last season, only 4 this season. 59 goals in basically 200 games in the Prem there for Rashford. I mean, for a career that started off so well, you're looking at those numbers now and you're thinking, actually, that's nothing special.
Less goals than Chris Wood.
Is that true?
Yes.
Wow, you know the stats like that. Because you
Last
always spend
season,
the money.
last season, less goals. This season, the same goals, 4. Do you know what I mean? And for England's hot prospect, talent, I think it's true what we're saying though about finding his best position. Is he the 9? Is he on the left? Is he the right? Is he a counter?
According to this website that we're looking at, he's a left winger who is apparently worth 76.5 million. He's only 24.
Zero, and nobody in this world is paying.
No, he's worth that because of off the pitch and the name he's built up, social media numbers, all these other things that they take into account. And obviously maybe his age, potential if he was to kick into form again, but. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if he is a striker because everybody thinks he is, but when you take a look at the numbers, it's not good. And for a club like Manchester United, you need a reliable goal scorer up top. He's not reliable. So that's hence why they've kept being short term and just bringing in names, Zlatan, Sanchez, this guy, Di Maria, Sancho. They're just throwing money at it. I think Man United have spent only 50 million less than Man City since the takeover, and they have no trophies to show for it. Or they have trophies, but nowhere near the same amount of trophies as Manchester City. So. I think he needs a fresh start personally. I just think it's all too much. It's a massive club. The fans are on top of you. Loads of pressure. I think he just needs to set himself aside, go to like a Europa League level club, and just restart.
I do think though, give him a year. Give him a year. If he leaves this summer, it could be a what if.
What do you think he can do at Man United? What do you think his ceiling is at Manchester United? Because for me, when I watch him. As good as he can be, I still see so many limitations that for me put a ceiling on how high he can get to. And if you're Manchester United, you're trying to have the best attackers in the world. This is the position that costs the most for a reason. I don't think Rashford is a Manchester United standard attacker from what I'm seeing over the last couple of years.
In terms of right now, the ability that he's got probably isn't anywhere near it was the last few years because he's not playing. He probably won't come in and produce anywhere near a performance. And again, this mostly comes down to his confidence. But if you were to say, even if he has had a really good week in training, he's really up for the game. He gets told, you're starting on Saturday. You're in the team for Tottenham. He comes in. He's not going to produce the same level of performance. But we know with Marcus Rashford, we've seen through the years that with confidence, there is no limit for him. And we've seen. And one thing that I didn't think with Rashford was I don't think he had the power to be a big game player. And I know he obviously came in against Manchester City and his sort of first made a massive impression, but that game, I keep going back to that game against PSG, where it was that last minute penalty. There was so much on that. And I think that was one of the most pressure penalties I've ever seen in football because of the situation, because of the context of that game. And he steps up. I think what was he? He must have been 21, 22. Yeah. And I mean, I'm 22 now. I couldn't have taken that penalty. I would have taken it, but it wouldn't have gone anywhere near the white thing. It would have been anywhere. But that for me shows you that he has such a maturity and such a belief. And obviously, what he does off the pitch is phenomenal. But he has got such a window of ambition that he could produce at any club. And I think he will. And I think we're going to see Marcus Rashford's name for another 5-6 years at least. I think he's 24 now. I think he is a fantastic player, but give him more time at Manchester United. He loves the club. He can give something for the fans to get behind.
Man United for me just feels like a melting pot. Like so many players there that just need unlocking. They're not reaching their ceiling. Pogba, Martial. I just feel like it's so many players that could just do with a fresh start. It's crazy at that club that, for all of the talent that they had at the start of the season, everyone was talking about potential title race. They find themselves in this position. It really does start from the top. Until they get, like you said, structure, planning, some sort of strategy as to how they're going to operate as a club and not just throw money at it. Because everybody traditionally obviously talks about Chelsea and City throwing money. Man United are really actually throwing money at it recently. Until then, everybody under them is going to suffer.
Yeah.
Interesting. Diogo Jota getting back in touch with another super chat. AGT, thoughts on Pep Lijnders after Jurgen leaves? Really interesting debate that. I was talking about this yesterday. I have seen the way Pep Lijnders acts on behalf of Klopp sometimes in press conferences. I've seen how passionate he is on the side, and in tradition with the kind of Liverpool boot room kind of mentality of the 60s right up till the 90s, where Ronnie Moran, for example, was the kit man, and then all of a sudden was the manager. And then you look at Bill Shankly, Bob Paisley was the physio, goes up to be... So it's all kept within house, and if he goes, the number 2 steps up. So I can see it happening, and there is an argument to say that he's more aware of how Klopp wants his... how aware of Liverpool's identity is, having been number 2 to Klopp for all these years. Maybe Gerrard doesn't know as much from the inside as the outside. But yeah, let us know in the comments, Pep Lijnders or Steven Gerrard. We have got the results in from the poll that we asked you very shortly ago. Who gets the United job? 50% of you think that Pochettino is the man, Ten Hag 38%, and Conte only 11%. So interesting to hear that. Also, João Félix to Arsenal. Thierry Henry with the super chat. Not the Thierry Henry, I can guarantee that now. But heavy links with Edu, apparently. João Félix to Arsenal. I mean, I was talking to an Arsenal fan about this potential signing last night, Matty. Arsenal seem to have a tradition of buying small technical players. Is he another? Yes, loads of potential. I'm not saying he hasn't. He had a great season at Benfica, got the big move to Atleti. I've seen him play for Atleti against Liverpool twice. Not physical enough. Is this the type of player that Arsenal need next season?
I think you've just summed it up well there. I mean, is he Premier League ready? That's the big question. The physicality remains a worry. We've seen how good he is. What I like about João Felix is the instinct for goal.
Yeah.
Put a ball in the box. We've seen it against Man United in the Champions League. Put the ball in there. He can find the back of the net very quickly, but his all-round game, it still needs tweaking in parts for me. And if Arsenal if he was gonna be the replacement for Aubameyang, if you like, that would be a big risk, I think.
Arsenal desperately need a striker next season. Let's go back to the Championship. Coventry 3-1 up now at home to Sheffield United. Any more news in that Bournemouth game? Obviously at home to Derby, 1-0 up was the last that we heard.
Yeah, we're 60 minutes now into the game. Obviously there was a long break in the first half, and that was the Solanke goal. But it's pretty much been end-to-end from what we can see. We've seen a chance. Solanke again could have had another one, and this is what I mean by Solanke. He has chances. He definitely has the feed of the ball to him. He just doesn't put them away. Allsop this time after Christie's corner, keeping him out, and then down the other end, actually it was Zamora, who threw himself at Davis' shot, and that keeps AFC Bournemouth ahead. So there are both sides going for this, and Derby need the points. It's a miracle that they're even competitive at this stage. 21 points taken away, they'd be well up the table if it wasn't for the off the field problems. But yeah, that they're going for it, and I think we're going to see more goals in that one.
I feel old actually with Parker versus Rooney there in the dugouts for Bournemouth versus Derby.
There's a lot of managers making me feel old at the moment.
Yeah, man.
I think you talk about Solanke there. I know we discussed him earlier, but if you do come to the Premier League, I think you have to get a striker, just in case, because you can't take that risk. We look at Dennis, how good he's been this season for Watford, and they're still.
For Solanke,
that's a long. You guys are fleecers. You sold him Jordan Ibe as well, didn't you? How much was he? And Brewster, where's Brewster?
25.
Yeah, you guys are fleecing, man. You guys are.
Well, I think it's just great business.
Yeah,
unlike you guys at the minute, so I wouldn't have. You can't chat to me about business right now.
Yeah.
There is no business going on in your club shop right now. The doors are closed.
There's Rhino flights being booked.
The doors are closed, locked, padlocked.
To be fair, AFC Bournemouth have done brilliant business with what they've got out of the club and what they've got for some of their players. I mean, Arnaut Danjuma, he was tearing it up in the Championship last season, didn't get promoted, and then he made a big money move, and now he's tearing it up in La Liga. And we've seen links with Arsenal, with Arnaut Danjuma. Liverpool were also involved in apparently looking at a potential move for him, so they could have a big sell-on clause for that. So I think, businessmen doing business.
Keenan Davis has scored his second goal of the afternoon for Nottingham Forest. They're 2-0 up now at home to Reading. We were speaking about earlier Nyland, the goalie for Reading, not having the best game there, letting 2 goals in so far with half an hour to go. Obviously Nottingham Forest, as we've already mentioned, play Liverpool next Sunday in that FA Cup quarter-final, so another win at home for them definitely impacts their hope going into that game. Matisse, I want to come to you. Some reports yesterday, and we don't know if this is 100% true or not, but Haaland apparently, and I say allegedly, apparently, supposedly, has agreed a pre-contract to join Manchester City in the summer. I mean...
Exhausted, right? Exhausted by this.
I just don't need that news. You
know? I mean,
none of the Premier League.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because they signed Alvarez in January. Now he's obviously quite young, but it seems like a talented prospect. Maybe the next Aguero for them. They're looking at. He scored a lot of goals in South America. Whether he stays at the club or goes out on loan, I've no idea what the plan is for him. But he's been signed. Now Manchester.
He's gone out. He stayed at loan.
Yeah, he stayed out there, and then in the summer, whether he stays or not, I don't know. But
how does he feel looking at that news?
You'd be worried, because if you're signing Erling Haaland, he's for the future, right, as well as the
next
present.
10 years.
Yeah. I think the one thing that says to me that this is not quite as it seems is Raiola. You know, Pep has done very well to create an environment, an ecosystem of calm. You know, there is no ego, there is no drama, there is no leaks, there is no controversy. It's literally just, you know, everything calm and collected. Anything that he can control, should I say, has been calm and collected so far at Man City in his recent years. And Raiola, we all know what the baggage is when he comes. You know, he for every contract renewal. Now, there is an agent cap coming, I think, as well from FIFA. So that might be potentially the reason why this is even a possibility, because he can only ask for so much money. But he does have a little history of, you know, constantly talking about players in the media, and he's got a bit of a mouth on him. I don't think Pep will like that. And I don't remember too many times Pep and Raiola have come together and agreed upon a deal. And I think they've probably tried to stay away from each other up until this point. So if that deal does get done, that's the one part of the deal that for me is interesting to look at. Outside that, though, Haaland at Man City, he absolutely scores a truckload of goals. He literally, if he's in the penalty box and they build everything around him and just ask him to just tap the ball home, you're going to see Erling Haaland just smashing the ball into open nets all season.
I mean, it's crushing for a Liverpool fan, surely, Alex, but it's crushing for the Premier League, man, because they sign Haaland and it's just game over. They just don't lose a game, they don't not score goals, they don't not win everything pretty much with Haaland, because he's probably the only missing piece right now, isn't he? Even after not having a striker all season, they're still top of the league.
And that surely spells the end of any rumours for Harry Kane going to Manchester City as well, by 100%. The way. The one thing that maybe I'm not so surprised at with Haaland choosing them, I mean, he could walk into any club in world football and just say, I'm the main man here now, give me the number 9 and let's go. Yeah. His dad did play for Manchester City, and I have seen him wearing Manchester City kids as a kid. He's obviously grown up watching them. So does it surprise me? No. Is it still gutting? Yes. Am I jealous? Yes. However, I mean, if there's one team that can push them all the way, it's Liverpool. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, we're approaching the big kickoff at 5:30. Manchester United versus Tottenham. Tottenham obviously taking 3 points off of Manchester City very recently in Manchester. Tapping Toes was there for that. He'll be here again very shortly with Fuad. We've got Neeks. We've got Culture Cams. We've got the Mr. DR himself, Don Robbie, in the building for that one. Let's see, just before that though, how Flex and Abby have previewed this one on the preview show the other day. Let's get into that one.
There needs to be a response after that derby. There has to be.
You think there would be some type of response? Oh
my God, 100%. I would love to think that. If we go out and play as poorly as we did, especially in the second half of that game, no. But we're playing Spurs. They're not Manchester City. You know what I mean? Harry Kane's on it at the moment. You know, yes. I think against Everton, poor side.
Yeah,
against Leeds, when you played them before, you got poor side. So you can't even take too much from that. You haven't played anyone good as well.
There's no one you can really kind of judge, you know, that Spurs have played in the last few weeks. I know Manchester City, but as I said, it's one of those teams that we always seem to do well against. But any time we face someone else like a Burnley who come at you with a bit of strength, the only thing I could think of is that because you play quite openly as well, that benefits Spurs.
Yeah.
It does benefit. When teams sit behind the ball, Spurs really struggle.
I'm thinking of Harry Maguire, just not concentrating, not looking properly, and Kane gets in, or Son 1-2, you know, because if you give Kane a sniff, goal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's one thing we can't do, is give up easy chances against you. But we can win the game. We can win the game.
All right, so let's get your prediction on this one then.
I'm gonna say I stop feeling like this sometime. I can't just keep, even though I'm fed up with it at the moment. I'm going to go with a narrow win. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Man United win.
Okay, I'm going to go with a 2-1 Spurs win.
Do you actually believe that, be honest?
I think that it probably will be a draw. But I'm going to back my own team.
Are you scared about this game?
No, I haven't. I have to say, in recent years, I've got no fear about going to United. It doesn't...
Because we're crap, or because you just don't know what happened?
I just think we're on a similar level. I really do. I think obviously your squad is 10 times better, but somehow you still manage to play like Spurs.
We're better than you, though.
You see the shirt there? You played Manchester
Oh my days!
United.
Imagine I forgot we got them. Joking out. I know we got them, blood. Listen,
Man United away.
I know Old Trafford, blood. You
Expressions
get me,
v rants.
Yeah, man. Listen, it's one of them.
Family feud.
We never win there, obviously. Obviously, we turn them. I remember, we have won there recently, Mora. I remember under Mourinho and that. But we don't usually win at Old Trafford, innit? Yeah, but. The Man United that I'm seeing,
you must
bro,
be confident.
But hear what? No, but the thing is, yeah, as much as we smashed Everton 5-0, yeah, and Leeds, they're rubbish. Both of them. I'm not going to sit here with Robbie and be like, oh, you know what?
So United at the moment.
Imagine that, yeah. We hit Everton for five goals, 5 beautiful goals, brilliant football. And even then, Robbie, I'm not back like, oh, you know what? Yeah, because these men play when they want, innit? That's what it is. And Everton and Leeds, for me, I saw them, they're rubbish. Do you know what I mean? Man United, this will be the test for me, blood.
And there you go, expressions clearly not confident that Tottenham can do the double in Manchester. Of course, they beat Manchester City recently. Let's see if they can do well today. A huge game for Manchester United as well. We can't forget that as well as Tottenham needing these 3 points today, it's Manchester United that are desperately chasing that 4th spot. So it'd be interesting to see the fan cams after this one today on all the different fan cam channels. Very, very big game, that one at 5:30. And don't forget, Don Robbie will be presenting that. Aidan has called it El Crapico.
El Bantico.
Tell Matisse to check his phone. We are getting the Saudis, says AF.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to start jumping up and down and going crazy because it's not done. When it gets done, then we'll discuss. But that's the rumor, and apparently the Saudi media group, it would have little reason to be blocked by the Premier League because they have a lack of ties. They have no ties to the government, etc. over there, and apparently his kids are Chelsea supporters as well. So that's why the link has started, and they're interested. They would want to redevelop and continue to improve the training facility, the women's team, maybe even look at the stadium. And at the end of the day, Chelsea are no longer in charge of their future. It's now down to the UK government. So whoever they decide, those are where people will have to put their questions towards, not Chelsea Football Club. But I've always said it, this is why I'm not really worried about what happens, is because it's not really in the UK government's interest for Chelsea to go into liquidation. They're one of the biggest clubs in the country. They bring a lot to the local area. They're going to bring a lot of job opportunities if they do continue to expand and improve the stadium, etc. So there's only more money for the economy, in that part of London. Not that they need more money. So I'm not really worried. We'll see what ends up happening, but it's an interesting one.
Saudi derby tomorrow, then, mate.
I might have to come up with a new show.
Love to see it. Bournemouth still 1-0 up at home to Derby as we approach the 70th minute and all the 3 o'clock kickoffs, the business end of this match day. If Bournemouth do win today and Derby don't win, is that really going to make things even more difficult for Rooney to keep them up in this division?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, any defeat at any stage of the season for a team that's trying to stay up or or go up, it is going to be a blow, especially when you keep yourself in games. I think 1-0, and we've seen plenty of chances from Derby today that if they are to go on and lose this game, they will know that it was perhaps a chance missed. AFC Bournemouth, very sort of false advertising. They look like a club that look in great shape, second in the table. They've got fantastic players. We've just seen João Lowe come on, a player that was ripping up in the Championship for the last few years, and now he's sort of a player that comes on. I think he's got 4 goals in his last 4 games. He's not had a real chance to play, and Derby know that AFC Bournemouth are not in full flowing motion. So if they are to lose today, it'll make things difficult. But look, it is a marathon, the Championship. It's the hardest league to get out of in the world. It's the hardest league to keep yourself in as well if you're one of the sides. It's incredible. We're seeing teams like Luton now in 6th place because clubs in the Championship, you've got to be able to have enough money to compete. And when you've got literally no money, players not being paid, the club is literally being ran voluntarily mostly at Derby County, that it's going to be very, very difficult. But they've done a fantastic job. Rooney, I think, if he does keep them up, it will be, in my opinion, one of the greatest managerial achievements in the history of English football.
Wow.
I genuinely believe that. And so, I think Derby fans would like something from the game today, given what they've been given on the field. But if they lose today, they'll keep their heads up. They've got 3 tables in the dressing room. One without the points, one of course with the point deduction, and they know that there are games left in this season to keep them up. But today, it's a tough game for them.
Coventry 4, Sheffield United 1 now. Coventry running away with that.
Big result.
Yeah, massive result. Big loss that for Sheffield United as well. Obviously, Hurricane on loan from Aston Villa gets an assist for them today. So not a great afternoon for the Blades in the East Midlands. Is Coventry in the East Midlands? I'd say it's...
No idea.
Yeah, I'd say. Nottingham's not too far from it, and that was East, so I'm going to go with East. Let us know in the comments if we're wrong. 15 minutes to go then in most of these games in the Championship. Still goalless in the Premier League. Waiting for a goal here at the Brentford Community Stadium. Only 15 minutes to go there. If one of these teams can nick a winner, I'm looking at Burnley in particular, then that would really put Everton in trouble, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they're already in the bottom 3 now. The Toffees, thanks to Burnley, currently getting a point at Brentford. But if they went on to get the win, that would further the worries even more for the Evertonians. But Brentford, I mean, them, the home side, can they push on? Can they try and get a win? Because if they got a win, then obviously safety would be looking a lot sweeter for them. Floating around 15th, I think they are at the minute, after a big win for them last weekend, after several games without a win. So that one there, I was going to say probably had 0-0 written all over it, but without revealing too much, my board would suggest otherwise.
Don't give it too much away.
Both those teams should be throwing the kitchen sink at it for the last 15 minutes.
100%.
A point for either of them is kind of pointless, pardon the pun. Like, really, you should be winning that game. If you're coming up against each other, it's an opportunity to not only send your rival into more problems, but also put yourself in a better position. And no disrespect to either team, the fixtures for both of them don't get any easier than that. So I think both teams should be going. It should be an entertaining last 15 minutes, because I don't see any reason as to why they should be taking a point.
Brentford are aside as well, that they've got to look at these fixtures at the start of the season and think those are the games we've got to get something from. And as it stands, like you say, they're going to get something, but is it enough for them, given the fixtures that are coming up? Because they will be looking ahead, and they will be looking at the games coming up, the trips they've got to make, and think, maybe if we don't win today, then it's more than 2 points dropped than 1 point gain.
Sean Dyche is just out here, man, just collecting D's, man. He's just like, give me 38 0-0s a season, I'll take it, and we will steal. Do you know what I mean? That's what Dyche is all about. Safety, nothing but safety.
Everybody wants them down, but they bring such balance to the Premier League, don't they? We haven't had it since Stoke City.
They?
Well, they do, isn't it? Because everybody wants to play this attractive brand of football. Everybody wants to play out from the back. Everybody wants to, look good and whatnot. Burnley are just not concerned with any of that. They're
Dyche is just
4-4-2,
full on Brexit
long
ball
up front. That's what they're on. They don't.
I think Burnley peaked earlier this season when their entire starting lineup literally went 1-11. That was when Burnley peaked. No sort of
all English.
Yeah, there was
Sunday league settings.
It literally was right. Here's your kits. Out you go. Start the warm up. How long we got? 5 minutes
on the back,
off.
maybe.
Yeah, there was no messing about at all. Brilliant.
Joma. Forrester went 3-0 up at home to Reading. That's that one wrapped up now. Ryan Yates with that goal.
Yeah, honestly, really good form Forrester in. It's starting to worry me. Every goal that I see go in, I'm thinking, got to play them next week at that stadium.
Full of confidence.
Oh, they'll be absolutely flying going into that one. Let us know in the comments. Do you think that Forest can pull off the unexpected and knock Liverpool out of the FA Cup? Very interesting to hear your thoughts. And the winner of that gets a big day out of Wembley, of course, again. Wow. And if Chelsea get in there, then no fans are allowed to go to Wembley. So.
Currently, yeah. I mean, I'm sure we'll hopefully get there.
Well, not illegally.
Where the last away fans that can go to Chelsea, can't we? The last away fans that can go to Chelsea is the travelling to an army tomorrow.
After the way the Wembley fixtures are going for us, I don't think we want to go anymore. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's true. 79 minutes on the clock now. Brentford versus Burnley, 0-0. No goals for the big man Weghorst. No goals so far for Ivan Toney as well. Scored a hat-trick last week he'll be wanting to become the star of the show maybe, and he's got 10 minutes to do it. In the Championship, there's still goals flying in. 0-0 Birmingham versus Hull. Blackburn, Bristol 0-0. You'd expect Blackburn to win that one. Blackpool 1-0 up at home to Swansea. Bournemouth obviously 1-0 up at home to Derby. Cardiff goalless at Preston. Coventry 4-1 up, of course, to Sheffield United. Millwall 0, Middlesbrough 0. Forest 3 now, Reading 0, and Peterborough 1, Stoke 1. That one's finally balanced with 10 minutes to go. Let's go back then to the Premier League then and talk about Watford. Now, Roy Hodgson did come into the club and was very open in saying it's going to be a difficult task. He had a great start in his tenureship at Watford, but things have slipped away a little bit now. And even he himself, Matisse, has said that he might not be able to save them. Watford are one of these teams that we see come up, we see them come down. Are they a Premier League team? Are they a Championship team? What are Watford, and can they stay up this season?
They're as good as gone now, aren't they? I mean, if he's saying, I don't think I can keep you up, or I'm not sure but I can keep you up, what does the dressing room think then? You know, they're taking instruction from him, they're taking leadership from him, they're looking for guidance. He's the experienced guy who's been to Fulham, to being, everywhere, and he's saying that I'm not even sure if I can handle this. For me, Watford are confusing because you look at Dennis, you look at Salah, these are good players. These are really, really good players that could probably go and play for mid-table teams minimum in the Premier League. But then you look at some other parts of the team and you think, that is very Championship made. I think, again, another club that maybe deserve to be in this position. You look at the way they sack managers constantly. We spoke about Everton, the lack of planning. They don't have a plan apart from there is no plan. It's just literally sack. They've set records, and that's coming from a Chelsea fan. Yeah. It is kind of what has been coming for them. You can only rely on a new manager bounce so often before there is no bounce, right? Because the effect is meant to happen every couple of years at max, because it's something. Even
a bouncy ball stops bouncing at some point.
It does. I can't get over that joke.
The problem with Watford is obviously the chopping and changing.
4-0 Forest now.
Chopping and changing the manager, but the lost Mr. Watford.
Sorry.
They lost Troy Deeney. Losing people like Troy Deeney in the dressing room has been massive for them. I think if Troy Deeney's in that squad now,
they'd have Kunis.
He's galvanising. He's picking up points. He's dragging people up. He's getting goals. They just haven't got the characters. They haven't got the personnel for it or the quality. And these players like Saw and Dennis, who do have the quality, they're not delivering enough on a consistent basis, and they don't look like they're necessarily up for the fight. I think the likes of Dennis are already thinking, well, we go down this summer, I'm sound.
They didn't even let him go to AFCON, so he's probably still got a chip on his shoulder from that.
Yeah, I'll get a move, I'm not bothered. Roy Hodgson coming, what I mean? He's touching 100, that bloke. I mean, for him, why is he not just chilling out? He should just be up there, Gran Canaria, slippers on, having a good time. Do you know what I mean? Just enjoy yourself, Roy. Do you know what I mean? Full English every morning, a pint, just chill out. Do you know what I mean? I don't understand that appointment, why he went there, why they got him.
Yeah,
secure the bag, bro. That's what it is.
I think as well, when you look at their squad, they have not got at all the worst team in the league. You look at, we just mentioned Burnley, they're 4-4-2. Players know what they're doing. They know what to expect from each other. I don't think that's the difference between them. Because same with Brighton as well. Brighton, I'd argue Watford have probably got a better starting lineup than Brighton, arguably. But yet, at the moment, there's no collective between them. It's all 11 players. Don't really know where they're going to be. We saw what the goals that were conceded, I think it was midweek, with the Ben Foster mistakes, and it was that no one knows where each other's going to be. It's almost they're going out and sort of panicking in every situation. Just sort of going off the cuff on every way. They have no, it doesn't seem like they're flowing from defence to attack. It seems to be a little bit like five-a-side, where you've sort of got a few good players, but you don't really know how each other are going to play. You don't have a setup, to sort of be able to hold out games or to be able to stop teams from just free-flowing straight through you.
More goals in the Championship. Stoke taking the lead at Peterborough. They're now 2-1 up. Lewis Baker, 84th minute with a penalty. Nottingham Forest now 4-0 up at home to Reading. Also, the lineups are in for Tottenham versus, or I should say Manchester United versus Tottenham. Who wants to get them up and read them out? Because they have come through.
Big news coming out of Old Trafford is that CR7 does start.
Ronaldo starts for United today at home to Tottenham.
I'll get through the
Matty,
Man
which
United
lineups do
team.
you want to take? Is there any tongue twisters in there for me that I
I'll
need to avoid?
let you take Spurs, mate. There may be a few in there for you.
Oh, Matty,
We'll leave
man.
it.
This is shafting me.
Good times. David De Gea in net for the home side, Man United.
I saw a tweet earlier that's saying he had COVID and he wasn't playing today.
What, David De Gea?
Yeah.
Was it? Main games. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Dalot, Varane, Maguire and Tellez is the back four. Matic comes into the middle to partner Fred. We mentioned Marcus Rashford earlier in the show. He does start on the right for United with Pogba and Sancho behind Cristiano Ronaldo.
Who have they got on the bench there? They've got Henderson, Bailey, Jones, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Lingard, Mata, Elanga and Cavani. So, listen, it's not the strongest team United have put out, but the man up front does start. Who is starting for Tottenham, Matisse?
Yeah, it's Hugo Lloris in goal. Back three of Davies, Dyer and Romeo. Pretty consistent there. Doherty at right wing back with Bentancur, Højbjerg and Reguilon in the midfield four. I guess the two wing backs there.
Yeah.
And Son, Kulusevski and Kane up top. It's a very good front three from Tottenham. They're starting to establish themselves with some chemistry, get goals. Kane's obviously rejuvenated. Kulusevski's been a very good signing.
Great start.
Yeah, very good player on the right hand side, bringing a bit of balance to them. I think the main issue for Tottenham going into this game is, of course, just that midfield. You know, Bentancur's been really good, but I think Højbjerg's definitely dipped massively over the months. You know, start of the season he was looking all right, and then he kind of dipped massively. And that defence, I don't trust them very much. You know, but again, Man United are very unpredictable as well, and they don't look great. It's two teams that could desperately use a win to kind of like kickstart their challenge for top four. I don't have confidence in either of them on a consistent basis.
No Bruno Fernandes as well, even in the squad for Man United.
What's happened there?
No Bruno
Completely
Fernandes.
missed that one out. Yeah, Tottenham lining up with a similar team to the team that beat City, and through having Tottenham fan mates, I can tell you there's been a real 180 when it comes to Matt Doherty. It was really not thought of in the highest regard by Tottenham fans since he joined from
Goal in the Premier League!
Oh, that's a big
dear.
goal.
Ivan
Massive.
Toney, we were
Wow.
just talking about him 5 minutes ago. I literally said Ivan Toney has 10 minutes to become the star man of this fixture. 5 minutes later he scores, Matty.
He does it. The deadlock has finally been broken in the one and only Premier League game at 3 p.m. and it is Brentford who take that 1-0 lead thanks to the main man Ivan Toney. And we were saying last week on the Saturday Football Show, if Brentford were going to steer away from any danger, it would have to be thanks to Ivan Toney. Scored a hat-trick last week and continues that form this week. Big goal there at Brentford. And I think that would also just drag Everton out of the bottom three as well and suck Burnley
Cheers
back
on
in.
Merseyside.
Yeah, big
Massive
cheers
goal.
on Merseyside
The
there.
blue side.
Ivan Toney actually a Liverpool fan as well. He admitted that earlier on in the
It
season.
does. Yeah, Burnley back in the bottom
So
three.
he's doing
So
Everton
maybe
a
he
little
doesn't
bit
like
of a
Brentford very
favour.
much as well.
Well, maybe. Maybe.
Sunderland take the lead as well. 1-0 Sunderland against Crewe. 84 minutes in. Dan Neil, whoever that is.
I love the way you still have disdain for Sunderland, even they have no relevance to your club whatsoever anymore.
It never goes, mate.
You're just like,
Never goes.
Sunderland scored against Crewe. Yeah,
You
I
should
just love the
see.
fact he emphasises it's crew.
You should see when the reserves play each other.
Really?
Newcastle,
it's
Sunderland.
madness.
Does he get feisty, yeah?
Oh, aye.
We had a
You were at one, weren't you?
I was. We played them in the Football League trophy. So like the Johnson's Pain Trophy, whoever was sponsoring it that year was Newcastle under 21s against Sunderland's first side at the Stadium of Light. 4,000 Newcastle fans went down on a Tuesday night at the Stadium of Light.
I love that.
It'd be like 3-0 or something. But as you'd expect, it was their first team. Do you know what I mean? But
And do you know what?
good
It's,
crack.
you don't get many of those derbies, isn't it? So the opportunity
exactly.
to
Yeah.
go and rile up the rivals.
We are
even in
also
a reserve
hearing
game.
that Christian Eriksen again has assisted that
lovely.
goal
Wow.
for Ivan Toney. Was a big feature in Brentford's last win. And it was only a matter of time until he really started showing his quality, which we all know he has. We're also happy that he's back. But yeah, massive assist for him with 5 minutes to go. Can Brentford hold on to those 3 points at home to Burnley? We'll see in the next 5 minutes. Question from Allier for myself. Alex, would you take Toney as an Origi replacement? Really interesting, actually, because Origi is definitely going this season without question.
Where?
This is the issue.
you know?
It could be Newcastle for all we know.
Eyes
could
are
be
interested.
going up there. There you go.
Varies.
But I hope he does get a really good club because he deserves it. He's been really playing, I would even say second fiddle, third, fourth, maybe even fifth fiddle to the other players that we've got in the team. So many great moments at Liverpool. Would I take Toney as his replacement? If you asked Ivan Toney, would you want to go and play for Liverpool? Yes, of course he would. He's a Liverpool fan. you ask him, would you want to go and be the 5th or 6th choice striker? He probably wouldn't.
No.
And at the age that he's at, which is a critical point in his career, 23, 24, I think Tony is, who has worked his way up from Newcastle, Peterborough, was obviously at Brentford in the Championship as well. He needs game time, and he's not going to get that at Liverpool if he joins to be a replacement for someone who is already a replacement for someone else. In a way. So I don't think he'd be happy with that.
No, it doesn't make sense from him. You know, he's trying to build up his stock, his trajectory, and to do that, you need to play games. You need to score goals in the Premier League to really assert yourself. He hasn't quite asserted himself for me this season as a Premier League striker in terms
26
of like
he is.
guaranteed. Yeah, so he's 26, so he's at that age where you want to play games. You know, if he was coming towards the tail end of his career and he was like maybe 30, 32, 33, and he wanted that dream move to Liverpool, cool, that makes sense. Now makes no sense at all.
Nah, I think maybe like a move to a West Ham, something like that would maybe make sense.
He was linked with them.
Antonio.
Yeah, he was linked with them.
Antonio does need that rotation as well.
Yeah, so that'd be a good show.
Big goal for Peterborough at the Poch. They've equalised in the 91st minute at home to Stoke. That's now 2-2. A good comment here from BLST. Just wondering what's happened to Daniel Sturridge. The last I heard of him, he was in Australia. He's playing for a team in Australia. He was at Turkey. Didn't work out for him. Got the betting ban.
Oh yeah.
I know that he trained with Real Mallorca. I mean, who wouldn't want to train in Mallorca? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Magaluf.
Lovely stuff.
Didn't get in there. And do you know what, Sturridge? He's only 31. And
Is he?
Yeah, but he just can't seem to gain that trust from a relatively big team to take a little punt on him. I guarantee if he's playing week in, week out, which again is a huge if, and it probably has never happened in his career, but if he is playing week in, week out for the likes of, I don't know, you put him at a Brighton, for example.
Yeah,
Danny
he's banging
Welbeck.
goals.
Yeah,
with
he's got all the ability to bang goals in. He's literally part of that, you know, SSS. You know, he's literally very technically gifted.
Won 2 Champions Leagues.
Yeah.
That's mad.
But the issue with him is literally fitness. And now the only kind of contract you look at for someone like Daniel Sturridge is pay to play.
Oh,
you know
massive
what I mean?
goal in the Championship.
Oh, who's
that
it
is
gone to?
huge. Blackburn haven't scored in 6 games. They might be going for 7 here, I believe. Bristol City just taking the lead at Ewood Park. That is absolutely huge for the clubs up the top of the Championship. AFC Bournemouth still leading. That's a massive result. Huddersfield were 2-0 up yesterday against West Bromwich Albion. And then, I think it was the 84th and the 87th minute, that finished 2-2.
Big Andy Carroll.
That's a massive goal, that is. And, what a result that could be for AFC Bournemouth. The only side in the top 5, I believe, to have won so far this weekend. I believe it was 1-0, was it, Fulham earlier?
Yeah, 1-0
Yeah,
earlier.
1-0.
So,
Massive result.
Andres Weimann with that goal for Bristol City.
19th place Bristol City are winning now away at Blackburn. We've already spoken about Blackburn being former Premier League winners. Huge result if it stays that way, and a big boost to Bournemouth if that does happen. Blackburn almost running away with it at the start of the season. Really impressive from them. Obviously had Harvey Elliott there last season. They've got Brereton Diaz there this season, the man who's from Stoke but has somehow ended up playing for Chile. Unbelievable story that is, by the way. It needs a documentary making there. But yeah, Andreas Weimann, he scored a few weeks ago as well, didn't he, for Bristol when we were on here last time. Huge goal that could win it there at Ewood Park. Right, let's go back into the Premier League. How long is left at Brentford Community Stadium? Obviously, they're 1-0 up. Burnley have just had a red card, by the way. Collins, red card for Burnley, which will go to VAR. We can't be far away from the final whistle there at all. It's getting a bit scrappy now at the Brentford Stadium for Burnley. And in the Championship, we're looking at some big scores. Nottingham Forest 4, Reading 0. Owen's about to finish. Peterborough 2, Stoke 2, Coventry. Big win for them today. Preston still can't find a goal, neither can Cardiff at home. And it's Bournemouth 1, Derby 0 still. 88 minutes gone in that one. Dominic Solanke's first goal.
Goal, Premier League.
It's been
Brentford. Brentford have doubled the lead. Wow. Brentford have wrapped things up. That's it, all done and dusted there. They will get the 3 points at home to Burnley in the 93rd minute. Find out who scored that one for you any second now.
Massive result for
Ivan Toney again. It was a penalty.
Wow.
Who else but Ivan Toney? 5 goals in a week.
5 goals in 2 games for Ivan Toney. Do you know who I could actually see him at? Arsenal.
Yeah, shout.
Is that a shout?
people have said
Let
that
us know in the comments. Arsenal
Rashford up
fans,
front.
would you take him? There's been another goal at the Vitality Stadium. Let's hand it to Ollie.
We take those.
Jamal
Moments
Lowe.
after, by the way, Ryan Christie has been announced man of the match and then got booked for diving inside the box. But we won't mention it because it's 2-0 AFC Bournemouth cruising to a result. In the end, they got there over the line against Derby County. That's a massive result, especially as I've just mentioned, with the sides around them all dropping points. This could be a massive, pivotal moment in the race for Premier League football next season. Massive
It's
goal.
Jamal Lowe in the 90th minute. That
5
has got
goals
that
in his
goal
last 5. Wow.
For Bournemouth. You were talking about him earlier. 5 goals in 5 now for
Yeah,
Jamal
it is.
Lowe.
Yeah, and
Some
I
going.
believe 3 of them have all come off the bench. So
Super sub.
he's a player that they can rely on, that is for sure. And,
Big win for Mark Hughes as well at
result.
Bradford. 2-0 win away to Forest
I
Green.
still can't believe this.
It's madness, that isn't it?
Absolutely
Mark Hughes
massive.
out in a way.
Right, a lot of last minute goals then. Brentford 2, Burnley 0. It looks like that one's now finished. That
Full
has
time.
finished. It is full time, and Brentford take a massive 2 points. Burnley slip back into relegation, which is unfortunate for them. Will they go down? Let us know in the comments. And in the Championship, as we've mentioned, a lot of scores there are wrapping up now. Blackburn have lost at home to Bristol City, a huge loss for Blackburn. Cardiff have drawn now at home to Preston, and Peterborough Stoke is also up. All those games will be finishing within the next minute or so. But don't forget, at 5:30, the kick-off between Manchester United and Tottenham will be shown. Not the actual game, but the watch-along of the game will be shown, and that's even better sometimes. Most of the time. So you need to be watching that. We have got a bumper lineup of guests for you today. We've got Robbie presenting it. No AGT or Matty, but even better.
Had to bring someone in.
Mr.
Got things to do,
Exactly.
haven't we? So-
Yeah, we've got better places to be.
Yeah.
haven't we?
Saturday plans.
Exactly.
Tinder.
So, well, for you, not me. Very happy relationship, I should say. Yeah, so that's a massive one coming up very soon on DR Sports. We've got Fuad, we've got Culture Cams, Neeks, and Tapping Tobes, who I guarantee is going to be on the most smoke today.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing Tapping Tobes
When
at
isn't
his
he?
maximum.
When is he not?
When
on
is he
smoke?
not?
When is he not on smoke? I'm looking forward to that game. It's going to be a big game. And like we said, both teams need a win. So much like the Brentford-Burnley game, that's obviously just finished 2-0 to Brentford. Both teams need to be attacking and going for the win. It doesn't suit either team to take the draw. That's exactly what Arsenal would want. So I'm looking forward to that one. It'll be interesting.
Very interesting. Pedro Neves reminding us how cold Ivan Toney is at penalties. 2 cold face emojis to sum that one up.
Doesn't miss.
Amuzab says Burnley will survive by their last 4 games. That's a massive shout. Can they? The Premier League won't be the same without Sean Dyche, says Agent E. A massive shout. They're not down yet. You have to give them some hope. Obviously got 10 games left, but it's not looking great. If Spurs beat United, they are finished as a big club, says Pedro Neves. If United do lose at home again today, I mean, it's just going to go from one depth to another, isn't it?
It's just going to be mad.
They won't. There's no way. Tottenham seem to go win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. They've absolutely thumped Everton. Surely now.
But
it's just so Spursy.
I think it's I fancy a draw for this one, to be honest.
Yeah.
I fancy a draw.
Tactically, I worry about United because they want to be on the front foot because they're Manchester United and they're at home. And the one thing Tottenham have taken advantage of in recent weeks is counter-attacking, being on the break, Manchester City. So if Man United apply too much pressure and they leave spaces at the back with a pretty dodgy defence, then I think Tottenham could potentially steal this. I've predicted on the Big Six that Tottenham win this, and I think with their finishes up top as well, I don't know what Man United are like from a finishing standpoint, but I know Tottenham definitely can finish. So I'm actually pipping Tottenham to win this one.
Interesting. Well, like we said, we will have that watch along for you very soon. Straight after this, in fact. Let's get into our predictions that we made at the start of the game then. Guys, again, not
Just
very
the 2
many
games.
to predict, unfortunately. Obviously, a massive round of fixtures on the Premier League tomorrow, so potentially could have been called the Super Sunday show. But let's get into this one. Ollie, we're going to go to you first. What did you predict the score to be between Brentford and Burnley?
Right, well, I have gone for 3-0 to Brentford.
Close.
It wasn't too far away in the end. I was a little bit worried.
Let's see. Let's see the
Turn
proof.
around, don't make
Well,
it up.
Turn it around.
I'm a bit sort of... It also says 1-1 for the Bournemouth game.
Okay.
Didn't even. Got to back your boys.
That might get me a bit of controversy, but the reason behind it is because they've been AFC Bournemouth have been failing to get the result over the line. So I was worried about that game, but I'm thankful that I got it wrong. That is for sure. Brentford though 3-0 wasn't far away.
We'll give you
I put
1
Ericsson
point.
goal.
1 point for
We'll give you 1 point
Not
because you
bad.
got the Brentford score as a win, so we'll give you that. Matty?
Just the 1 point for me as well. Had Brentford Burnley to draw 1-1, and then I had Bournemouth to win 2-1. So it was one off that one.
1 point for yourself. Me personally, Brentford 2, Burnley 2. That's what I guessed. So I can't take any points there, but I can take a point because Bournemouth did beat Derby, but not 3-1 as I predicted.
Matisse, have you got more than 1 point? And can you take the win again?
I had Brentford
No, you can't.
to Burnley.
Oh, you can't. You've done it again.
But I had Bournemouth to beat Derby 2-0.
You did this last week as well.
So I'm
Pulled out of the
having
bag.
fun at the top. You know, Matty, your power of dominance at the top is over,
gone.
my friend.
2 weeks
I am
in a row
here.
for you.
I am here.
Do you know what? At least we could give you some kind of happiness in this week, which has resulted in your team literally being punished by the government. They should also be
Alex
punished
brings
as well.
me
by the way.
crashing back to
Yeah,
earth.
no, I've got to.
Eddie Howe's revenge will come tomorrow. All right, Matisse, don't worry about that.
That
Interesting
90th minute
game,
goal though from Low literally saved me because otherwise
Yeah.
I'd be
Hi,
getting
dude.
That's
1
true.
point as
Big
well.
up to
so.
Jamal.
I think you were more relieved than me by the sounds of it.
Yeah, that's why I was just so calm. I was like, oh my god, thank God.
Right, guys, do not forget that we have a massive watch along here straight after us. We will be wrapping up now. Just before we go, remember, do subscribe. We are very, very close to 200,000 subscribers on the channel. Not bad for a channel that only really started up about 18 months ago. So we're moving, and it's great to see. Let's get us to 200k. Let's do it by the end of the weekend. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Come on.
Right, big thank you to our guest today. On our left, making his debut on DR Sports, it's Ollie. Thank you very much, mate.
No
Your
problem.
team has
Thanks
won
for
as
having me.
well.
Yeah, great
So it
result.
must have been a good day.
Yeah, great result. Thanks for
give
having
him a
me.
clap.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
it. Cheers.
Forgot the first time, not going to forget the second time.
Nearly.
Big Matty Renton playing Chelsea tomorrow. You'll be hoping for a big win there.
Oh, aye.
But Newcastle looking good, and you didn't even play today.
No, it's been nice. Stress-free. Kick back, relax.
Unlike your journey
Enjoy the
here.
show. Yeah, every time.
Every time. Matty Renton.
Cheers, lads. Thank you.
And again, the man who has been almost everywhere this week, speaking about the demise of Chelsea Football Club. We still only have 45p in this mug that says Save the Bridge on it, so we will need to do a bit more work. Maybe take it to West London. Got a bit more money there.
Catch Matisse on the
Matisse,
tube.
thank you very much for coming
Thank
on
you.
the show.
It's been a pleasure. Pleasure as always, guys.
It always is.
And let's have a round of applause for the host as well. Big
Oh,
AGT.
really? Go on.
Well done,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah, I think we
Good
should.
job,
I
mate.
think
Good
we
job.
should.
Good job.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. As I said, a massive. I can hear all of them congregating outside.
Well, they're getting
I can hear
lively.
all the voices.
They're
It's going to
getting
kick
lively.
off in here, and you do not want to miss it. Tune into DR Sports for the huge watch along that is coming very shortly. But right now, we're going to leave you with a very important message at the end of the show. Save the bridge. We'll see you next week. Take care. That's been the Saturday Football Show. All the best.
Save the bridge! Save the bridge!
Save the bridge. Save the bridge.
Save the bridge!
Save the bridge.
Save the bridge! Save the bridge! Save the bridge! We
Save
need
it.
to save the bridge! Yo, big man, you got
Save
some
the
peas for
bridge.
Roman Abramovich and them, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Yo,
Thank you,
fam,
mate.
they need peas, fam. They need the pounds, some dollars. We'll take some Ugandan shillings, fam.
Save the bridge.